Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for bearing with me. We had some tech issues yesterday, so before I really get into the live stream today, I just wanted to make sure that you guys can hear me. I have also invested in a new microphone, so any comments on the sound quality are very much welcome. Like I said, I'll just wait for, one of you to confirm that the sound is okay before I proceed with the October 2024 horoscopes. Just wait for a few more people to join the live. Just type in the chat here. Got a really exciting month this month. Sound is great. Thank you, Shah. And thank you. Okay. Just one moment, guys. Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone. And thanks for all of you who are joining me here live today. I'm going to have notifications just here in the bottom right-hand corner for you for when I'm changing signs, so you'll always be able to know which sign I'm up to if you join partway through. All right, so let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be doing your October 2024 forecast for you. So I'll be going through the horoscopes for all 12 signs. This is a tropical Western forecast reading, so you can watch for your tropical Western astrology sign, and again you can watch for your rising sun and moon, and I would start off with your rising sign. If you enjoy the horoscope, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up so it reaches more people, and of course if you want to subscribe to the channel to be notified of when I go live, feel free to do so. I do have an exciting announcement to make, and that is that I will once again be doing my yearly horoscopes. So they'll be about 2 hours long for each sign. I'm going to be basically taking the month off in October to record these and put these together for you. I did do yearly horoscopes back in 2022 and 2023. I took a year off last year with the horoscopes because I was traveling overseas for about 4 months, but I'll be back for 2025, and there's so much exciting astrology happening in 2025. We've got Uranus changing signs for the first time in about 7 years. Neptune will be changing signs for the first time in 14 years. And we'll have Saturn moving into Aries for the first time in about 29 and a half years. So 2025 is going to be epic. It'll be one of the biggest years of change. So again, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that you can receive notifications of when these 2025 yearly horoscopes will be available for sale. Nevertheless, let's get into the October 2024 horoscopes. So we're going to start off with Aries. Okay, so welcome Aries, rising suns and moons. This is your October 2024 horoscope. You are one of the most affected signs by the October astrology, and that's because we have a lot of activity in cardinal signs. So cardinal being Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So first and foremost, on the 2nd or 3rd of October, depending where you live in the month, live in the world, there will be a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Libra. And this will be occurring in your 7th house. So new moon eclipses are basically like supercharged new moons, and it's all about a new chapter starting in your life, planting the seeds for something new. And in saying that, this new moon eclipse has the south node in Libra. So we're combining the elements of a new chapter or new seeds being planted with bringing something back from the past, which is the function of the South Node. So it's likely that whatever new chapter is taking place in your life, you'll already have awareness of this. Maybe you've been angling for this change, anticipating it, expecting it. But in any case, I'll go through a number of different ways that this can play out. What's important to note is that the new moon eclipse is conjunct Lilith and Mercury in Libra, and it's squaring Mars in Cancer, which is your chart ruler. So even if you have no Libra in your chart, it's squaring your chart ruler. So somehow this is having a big impact on Aries, Sun, Moon, and risings. Because the eclipse is taking place in the 7th house, this straight up involves another person and or a contract or agreement. So something new is taking place. Like I said, so maybe this is taking your existing romantic relationship to the next level, or there's an important status change in your existing relationship. If you've been dating someone for a while, but nothing's really come of it, maybe you haven't been exclusive, up until now, that could be what's coming through with this new moon eclipse. Some of you will be entering into business with another person or signing an important client contract or document. And on a different note, this can indicate that there is some kind of taboo topic that's coming out because this eclipse is conjunct Lilith. So on one hand, maybe you and your partner or business partner are discussing something that is, again, a bit taboo, or it's like a topic that one of you hasn't wanted to raise, and now it's like we have to talk about this and we have to take action, as is the nature of this square to Mars. And again, it's conjunct Mercury, so this somehow involves an important conversation or an important contract being signed. Something to note is that Mars is making a grand water trine with Saturn and Venus, so I really do feel that compromise is possible. And for some of you, maybe this is about a contract to extend your house, renovate, buy, sell, relocate, or it could even be an important document that you are signing or that's being brought to your attention in a legal sense. Just give me one moment, Aries. Okay. So again, this is around the 2nd or the 3rd of October, but these events can take place plus or minus a couple of weeks or even up to a month. So obviously we're a few days away from the eclipse now as I'm going live. So just pay attention to what kind of important contracts may be coming your way or conversations that are coming up. And maybe the discussion happens around the time of the eclipse, but you don't take action for another few months, 6 months, or maybe even up to a year. Okay, so then on the 9th, we're going to have Jupiter station retrograde in the sign of Gemini at 21 degrees. So every year, Jupiter goes retrograde for about 5 or so months, about 5.5 months, and it'll be direct again in early February of 2025. It's not necessarily a big deal, but I just thought I would mention it. So for a lot of you Aries, you may be integrating something that you've learned, integrating new knowledge or a new skill set, maybe working on an important communications piece such as a book, launching a website, launching a new social media account, or maybe working on a documentary, a podcast, or collaborating with other people. If there was some kind of education course that you had started and you had to push the pause button on that, you may be returning to that. On a different note, if you had previously failed an important test, exam, or you were unsuccessful in gaining some kind of qualification or license, this gives you a second chance at that. Okay, so some of you may be going through quite a stringent process that involves legal documents and paperwork, and perhaps this is related to passports, visas, travel documents, and so on and so forth, or any kind of important documentation. Maybe some of you are putting together an important business proposal, or just working on maybe even developing a new course, so course content, course material, writing a manual or something like this, or undergoing some kind of formal training, which by the end you get some kind of certificate or qualification. So again, this is on the 9th of October that Jupiter will station retrograde at 21 degrees, and it'll be direct again in early February in 2025. Okay, Aries, so on the 13th of October, brief transit, but worth a mention, Mercury in Libra in your 7th house is going to square Pluto in Capricorn in your 10th house. Now, this will be occurring at 29 degrees, and 29 degrees is the critical degree in astrology. It's the anaretic degree. So there can be some kind of crisis that takes place. It doesn't have to be a huge deal for you in any case. You know, Mercury and Pluto are not your ruling planets, but what this can lead to is an important conversation that you have with perhaps your boss, superior, an authority figure, or maybe your parent or even a grandparent. There may be important documents to be signed or finalized, and perhaps these involve your mutual resources with another person. For others of you, you may be having a discussion with your partner about your future, and you're trying to get onto the same page, especially if this relates to your mutual resources, shared investments, wills, taxes, or, you know, even just like your intimacy as well with your significant other, because Pluto does rule over sex too. And there may be a moment of tension here, which leads me to the 13th, the 14th of October. We are going to have a lot of transits taking place within a 17-hour window. And basically what happens is we've got Mars making a T-square, so Mars in Cancer in your 4th house, which is your ruling planet, making a T-square, so squaring the Sun in Libra in your 7th house. And Mars will also square Chiron in Aries in your 1st house. So here there's like this moment of tension, right? But it is, let's say, not overshadowed, but it is juxtaposed in a really positive way by the Sun in Libra trining Jupiter in Gemini. Okay, so the last time we had the Sun trine Jupiter, the Sun in Libra trine Jupiter in Gemini was about 2012. Okay, so there is overwhelmingly a positive opportunity here for you, but it will be precipitated by a moment of tension, conflict, crisis, or even just indecision. Okay, or perhaps just like a feeling of being rushed. So the opportunity here is regarding contracts, your education, your potential business partner, or going into business with another person, or an important collaboration, or a client deal, or a sale, or perhaps you and your significant other. There's an opportunity here to heal a relationship that you have with friends, siblings, or relatives. And ultimately, this involves a contract or some kind of agreement, or getting onto the same page when it comes to moving forward with an important life decision or life choice. Now, because we've got the 1st house, Chiron in your 1st house, Mars in Cancer in your 4th house, and the Sun in Libra in your 7th house involved in this T-square, this could be related to property matters and or family matters. And on a different note, it could be related to a conversation that is basically steeped in, you know, your childhood upbringing, or the way family dynamics have always played out. But ultimately, this is about your emotional security. So there's an opportunity here for a contract to be signed, an important relationship to move forward, or a conversation to be had, which allows you to just heal something on a deep level, and now, you know, you've got the green light to move forward. On the 17th of October, we're going to have the full moon in Aries in your first house. And this will be conjunct Chiron, squaring Pluto, but also sextiling Jupiter in Gemini. So because this full moon is in your first house, this will impact all Aries individuals, but especially those around 24 degrees. Okay, so let's say from about 19 degrees to 29 degrees. And I forgot to mention for the eclipse at the beginning, in Libra, the Aries who would be most affected would be 5 degrees to 15 degrees. But I digress. We're talking about the full moon in Aries on the 17th of October. So this can indicate that you're having an important realization about your path in life, how you want to present, your physical appearance, how you talk, dress, how you come off when you meet people for the first time. So that's on the physical level, okay? So maybe you're having an epiphany here, or you're letting go of certain insecurities that you have about your physical appearance, and maybe you're just like owning it. If you're, for example, going bald and you're like, hey, I'm just gonna shave my head and own it. Or, if you have like something about your mannerisms that you used to feel insecure about, it's like just a letting go of this. On a different note though, this can indicate that you are recognizing the higher path for yourself and zooming out and seeing the bigger picture, and you're now realizing what it is that you need to focus on in your life. And this can involve maybe walking away from a career, especially if you're an Aries rising or an Aries sun, because we've got that square to Pluto in Capricorn and the sun relates to our career. If you're an Aries moon, this may be walking away from an important relationship in your life, or healing a really important relationship in your life. And this will be someone that's like quite close to you, not just a distant friend. So it's really about overcoming major obstacles and fears and insecurities. And the reason I say that is because 24 degrees is the Pisces degree. Okay, so this is about a surrendering and a letting go that's taking place. Lastly, for the month, let's end on a high. We've got Venus entering the sign of Aries, so it will be transiting your 9th house. So Aries, this can indicate wherever Venus goes, we can enjoy whatever the house rules over. We can find love in whatever the house rules over, or be spending money there, because Venus rules over finances and resources. So the 9th house is related to travel, higher education, spirituality, religion, as well as just seeing the bigger picture in our path. Okay, so it's like, what are my world beliefs? What are my world views? So Venus transiting your 9th house for about 3 weeks can indicate that you are enjoying something that you're learning, or perhaps you're experiencing love with a foreigner, or just traveling with your significant other on an overseas trip, or perhaps even an interstate trip. So maybe some of you are finding love abroad, and some of you may have an important conversation which is really helpful and affirming and validating with someone who is spiritual or religious, or like some kind of coach or counselor in your life. Others of you could just be enjoying whatever it is that you're learning, or perhaps you are stepping into the role of teacher or counselor or educator, and you're really enjoying this. Okay, Aries, so that's all I have for you for your October 2024 horoscope. If you enjoyed this reading, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And next, I'm going to move on to Taurus. Okay, and I'm actually trying to stick to some kind of time frame this time around. I'm going to try and do about 15 minutes per sign, just to give you a little bit of an indicator there. Alrighty, so we're up to 23 minutes, but that's okay. Taurus, sun, moon, and risings. I myself am a Taurus sun, so welcome, fellow Taurians. On the 2nd or 3rd of October, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Libra at 10 degrees, and this will be in your 6th house. So new moon eclipses are like supercharged new moons. It's like a new moon on steroids. So it's about a new beginning taking place, a new chapter taking place, or planting the seeds for something new. However, this new moon eclipse contains the south node being in Libra. So the south node brings something back from the past. In some cases, it's very spiritual in nature. And in other instances, it can be about letting go, making a sacrifice, or surrendering something. So to me, it looks like there's a bit of a trade-off that's happening here with this new moon that's occurring in your 6th house. I should also mention that the new moon is exactly conjunct Lilith at 10 degrees. It's conjunct Mercury in Libra at 11 degrees, so very tight conjunction to Mercury. And it's squaring Mars in Cancer at 15 degrees in your 3rd house. But fortunately, Cancer sextiles you, so it's easier to bear, let's say. Now, with the new moon occurring in your 6th house, this can indicate that there is a new chapter or new seeds being planted with respect to a new job, new day-to-day work responsibilities in your existing job. Perhaps you have to let go of another line of work, or you have to let go of other responsibilities in order to take on this new job opportunity or to take on these new responsibilities in work. For others of you, this can indicate that you are integrating or implementing a new daily habit. When I say new, I mean maybe you've tried this in the past, but you haven't done it consistently or with fervor, whereas this time around it's like, no, I really want to do this like every day or every week. It's like setting a goal with respect to positive daily habits, and you're actually sticking to it this time. The 6th house is about health as well as your exercise regime, and it is associated with diet. 2nd house is also related to food. So for some of you, this could be going on an important new health journey with respect to physical exercise, diet, or perhaps working with a new health practitioner or healing modality, or even if you're working with the same health practitioner or someone from the past, perhaps you're trying it in a new way, or you're committing to it in a really solid way, because Libra is about making commitments and promises, as well as, it's related to contracts too. So some of you may be applying for an important loan, or perhaps you are loaning someone money. Okay, and again, there'll be awareness of this because of the South Node. So we've discussed it before. Maybe you've applied for this loan before. Maybe someone's asked you for this loan before. But this time around, you're repurposing it or refashioning this in some way. So even though the 6th house is making an inconjunction to you as a Taurus, meaning it's not like a direct or not a major aspect, I should say. Venus rules over Libra as well as Taurus. So Libra eclipses and Libra transits actually impact you more than they would another, let's say, sign where there's an inconjunction or a quincunx taking place. So again, this is around the 2nd or 3rd of October, but you may have awareness of this 2 to 4 weeks before, 2 to 4 weeks after. So perhaps, this has been coming up for you since early September, or even up to early November. These themes can be coming up for you in a big way. Forgot to mention the 6th house also relates to pets. So some of you may be reunited with a beloved pet, or you may have talked about adopting a pet, fostering, or just welcoming in a new animal or animals into your life, or maybe working with animals. And this eclipse is like, the catalyst for that. Okay, Taurus, so on the 9th of October, Jupiter will station retrograde in Gemini at 21 degrees in your second house. So this is the first time that Jupiter has stationed retrograde in Gemini in like 11 or 12 years. So this is all about integrating some new knowledge. And Jupiter first entered Gemini in May this year in 2024, and it'll be retrograde until early February in 2025. So this can indicate that you're integrating what you've learned or deepening your knowledge with respect to second house themes and matters: finances, resources, farming, plants, nature, cooking as well. The second house is one of the property houses, so you could be working on expanding your property, as is the nature of Jupiter, looking to relocate perhaps interstate or overseas. And the second house is related to the five senses, so maybe some of you are doing some training or learning in a deeper holistic way about anything related to the five senses, right? Sommelier, wine, perfumery, making perfume, makeup artistry, hairdressing. These are all second house themes. And again, so are finances and resources. So this could relate to, being a broker, mortgage broker, financial advisor, trader, crypto, etc. On a different note, this can indicate proceeding with investing in important resources, but spending big because Jupiter, or refinancing or rebudgeting over the next 5.5 months. So there's a big review taking place of your spendings, your accounts, finances, and resources with a focus on the long-term future, because 21 degrees is the Sagittarian degree. Lastly, the second house is related to food and diet, as well as the teeth. So some of you could be looking at doing important dental work. Maybe it's costly because, again, #Jupiter, or just learning about food, permaculture, diet, and integrating a different type of diet into your life. So on the 13th of October, Mercury in Libra in your 6th house is going to square Pluto in Capricorn in your 9th house at 29 degrees. 29 degrees is the anaretic degree. It's the critical degree. So for me personally, as someone who watches the transits, anytime a planet, especially a fast moving planet like the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, not so much the Moon, gets to 29 degrees, this is when I have my most challenging days. Like, I had to restart this live stream yesterday and I was like, what gives? Like, why, did this not go to plan? And then I was like, oh, Virgo's at 29 degrees. Mercury's at 29 degrees Virgo. Anyway, blame it on the astrology, right? I digress. So Mercury in Libra in your 6th house is going to square Pluto and Capricorn in your 9th house at 29 degrees. So Mercury, decisions, conversations, contracts. Pluto, fears, insecurities, mutual resources, big money, and, also like deep emotional impulses, right? So there's a conflict or a challenge here between these two realms. So with the 6th house and the 9th house, this can be a crisis or an important decision to be made that involves work and travel, your vision for your future and your pets, your health and the long-term goal or vision, your daily habits, okay, so diet, exercise regime, rituals, prayers, etc. And then, the spiritual and religious path that you're on. How do I integrate this into my daily life? Your work and the future of your work. Where am I headed? Where do I want to go? Or balancing work, which is the 6th house, with education, or even balancing, I already said work and travel, or balancing your health commitments and the health journey that you're on with your desire to travel. Or even there could even just be like issues with immigration, documents, paperwork that you need to overcome with respect to your plans to travel or relocate interstate or overseas. Okay, again, that's on the 13th of October. Also around the 13th, 14th of October, we have a T-square unfolding between Mars in Cancer, the Sun in Libra, and Chiron in Aries. Okay, so ordinarily I'd look at this and be like, whoa. But the good news is that the Sun in Libra is trining Jupiter in Gemini. So Jupiter is blessing this T-square. Whatever challenges are coming up around the 13th or 14th of October, don't worry, you'll be able to overcome them. So Jupiter here presents this opportunity for growth and expansion. And this is, connecting your sixth house and your second house, right? So this is about investing finances and resources with respect to your work life, or perhaps with respect to your health. On a different note, your personal values can be shifting in a really positive way when it comes to abundance, salary, income, streams of income, job opportunities for you. And there's this opportunity here to expand in the workplace, to increase your salary and resources, to have a healthier diet and make healthier lifestyle choices, right? But with the T-square that's taking place, perhaps there's some fears or insecurities that are coming up about, do I really want to procure these resources or spend this money or take this leap of faith with my health, or with work, or even with, welcoming pets into your life, or applying for an important loan. Or even, this could even be about, let's say, bringing new employees on board with your business. So there is a huge opportunity here for expansion and growth in investment and finances and resources, and your day-to-day work life, okay, and improving your health as well, making healthier life choices. I hope that makes sense. So on the 17th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries, and this will be in your 12th house at 24 degrees. It's conjunct Chiron. Okay, so there's a bit of a pain point here, or a pressure point here, especially in the 12th house. So there can be some self-sabotaging tendencies that are coming up, or just, subconscious, let's say, responses that are like maladaptive coping mechanisms. But fortunately, with this full moon, even though it's squaring Pluto in Capricorn, it's sextiling Jupiter in Gemini. So, fears and insecurities can be coming up around the 17th of October, plus or minus a couple of weeks. But ultimately here, there is a big opportunity for you to surrender, let go of self-sabotaging habits, let go of addictions and vices, receive help for them, really have important epiphanies and realizations. You may have like a really healing meditation experience or release in, let's say, yoga. On a different note, this can indicate that you may be donating to charity or helping someone out financially in a very big way out of the goodness of your heart. Maybe there are still some fears or insecurities about this, but the sextile to Jupiter is like, no, this is the right thing to do. Or the shoe could be on the other foot, right? Where someone is helping you out with respect to finances or resources or something material, and maybe it hurts your pride to accept this, or it feels like too much. But again, the sextile to Jupiter and Gemini is like this beautiful blessing that's coming into your life. Lastly, on a different note, with the full moon in Aries, this could be the completion of an important creative work, maybe creative writing, poetry, photography, or just something that you've been working on behind the scenes. And, because the full moon is occurring in your 12th house at 24 degrees, which is the Piscean degree, you may just really want to go inwards around the 17th of October. You may feel inclined to cancel social plans or events and just hibernate for a little bit. Lastly, for the month Taurus, Venus is going to enter the sign of Sagittarius on the 17th or 18th of October. So it'll transit your 8th house for about 3 weeks. Venus is your ruling planet, so wherever it goes, whenever it makes aspects or transits, whatever house it's transiting, this represents you and what you are doing. So where you're placing your focus, right? So Venus through the 8th house can indicate more intimacy with your partner, an improvement in your sex life, or just feeling more love from your partner in an intimate and vulnerable way. This can indicate that you're able to be more vulnerable with other people in general, like feeling safe to share your secrets, or to just, allow others a little bit closer to you. There can be big focus on your mutual resources. So you could be helping another person out with your resources, or the shoe could be on the other foot. Maybe you're looking at combining your resources, investing in something with another person, or this can be your partner receiving either an increase in salary or a bit of a bonus or lump sum in money, in salary. This can also indicate that you are perhaps receiving an important reading, and this would be like a cold, esoteric, psychic, or an energy healing session. So yeah, it could be astrology reading, psychic reading, mediumship reading, Reiki healing, or some kind of crystal healing or energy work. Or you could be the one who's learning about these topics. You're learning or deepening your research about occult and esoteric matters. Okay, so, and the 8th house represents transformation. So this can indicate that during this 3-week period, there may be lots going on with your finances and resources, but also the 8th house is about transformation and healing. So you could go through like a rapid healing transformation during this 3 weeks. Okay, Taurus, that's all I have for you for October 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And now I'm going to move on to Gemini, and did pretty well, 17 and a half minutes. Wasn't quite the 15-minute mark that I'd set for myself, but anyway, just one moment, Geminis. Okay, so this is for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Welcome to your October 2024 horoscopes, Gemini. We're starting off with the new moon solar eclipse in Libra at 10 degrees. So this is occurring on the 2nd/3rd of October, depending where you live in the world. It's happening in your 5th house. This eclipse will be conjunct Lilith exactly at 10 degrees. It'll also be conjunct Mercury at 11 degrees and squaring Mars in Cancer at 15 degrees. So because this new moon eclipse is conjunct Mercury, which is the ruling planet for Gemini, this indicates that this eclipse is really affecting Geminis, and it's also trining us as well. So I think the eclipse energy will maybe be a little less chaotic than it could otherwise be, or perhaps for some other signs. In terms of what a new moon eclipse is all about, it's like a new moon but supercharged, like on steroids. So it's about new seeds being planted, a new chapter beginning in your life. But eclipses can bring eclipses can bring fated events, or things just happening like really, really quickly, right? So with this happening in your 5th house, it's going to light up whatever the 5th house rules over: love, romance, children, creative projects, hobbies, passions, as well as starting your own business or owning your own business. All right. So there is some kind of new chapter that is occurring with respect to one or more of those matters. But because this new moon eclipse involves the South node in Libra, it's like you've already discussed this, you've already tried this before, you were already aware of this, you were already expecting this or wanting this, or something that you're already doing needs to be adjusted. There needs to be a reassessment or a pivot that takes place, and perhaps even like a sacrifice or a trade-off, okay? Because the South node is about letting go of something. So with relationships, I didn't even have a note for this, but it's just occurring to me now. Maybe you've just been casually dating a couple of people, maybe even more than a couple of people. And, you know, you want to really just focus on the one person. So you're having to let go of, or not let go, but, you know, just have an important conversation with another person, like, hey, you know, this isn't working, etc. Some of you may be entering into an exclusive relationship. And so the sacrifice here is, you know, I guess, single life, if you consider that to be a sacrifice. Some people do, some people don't. On a different note, you and your significant other could be taking things to the next level, but perhaps this involves you having to, you know, spend less time with certain hobbies or passions. By the way, it's not as though your partner is like forcing you to do this. It's like, as you focus your energy more in one area of your life, something has to give in another area of your life. Because the fifth house rules over children, some of you may be trying to conceive once more. Some of you may be getting pregnant. Some of you, the fifth house rules over children, and this can indicate a powerful new chapter that's happening in the life of your child or one of your children. This can indicate that you're starting a new business or expanding your existing business further, and maybe you're having to, you know, invest a lot of money into this, or you're having to let go of one element of your business in order to focus on this new chapter that's coming through. And some of you may be taking up a new hobby, taking up a new passion of yours, taking it to the next level. And, you know, ultimately this is a really creative time for you. So you could be starting to write a new book or work on an important creative project, and you're just channeling a lot of energy and effort into that. Again, this is the 2nd, 3rd of October, depending where you live in the world. But you can see the effects of this, you know, about 4 weeks before, 4 weeks after, and maybe this will take a few months or even up to a year to, you know, all come together. Now, on the 9th of October, Jupiter will be stationing retrograde in Gemini at 21 degrees in your first house. So this can indicate that you are really focusing on learning something in a much deeper way, in a more holistic way. So you're studying something and putting a lot of your energy and effort into that. So the Jupiter rules over travel. Maybe some of you are planning out a really big trip, or an interstate relocation, or even an international relocation. For others of you, this can indicate that you are taking your spiritual or religious practice and beliefs even further and deeper. You may be going through a little bit of like I don't want to say a crisis, but really like rethinking your tightly held belief systems. And again, this could be religious, this could be spiritual, or perhaps this is just political, or, you know, how do I believe that the world even works? Now, because Jupiter rules over your 7th house, which is related to your personal relationships, you can be working really hard on your marriage or on your relationship with your significant other. Or perhaps you could be working really hard with your business partner or someone that you collaborate with on something that's going to take maybe about 5 months to come off. So we're looking at when Jupiter would be direct again, which is in early February of 2025. You could be working on some kind of Gemini-like project, which means, you know, something digital, online, something to do with marketing or business, sales, or that involves small groups of people, or perhaps this is like an education course or content material that you're putting together, or an education course that you are undertaking, and maybe this will conclude around February 2025, or perhaps even up to, you know, early June in 2025, when Jupiter finally leaves the sign of Gemini and enters Cancer. And this could definitely be a time where you are looking at expanding your business or taking it to a global level, maybe looking at import and export, and perhaps this is like beyond your local community or your state, and you're looking at interstate or international import and export trade. Or perhaps you're working on getting published, so working with a publisher on a book, or a documentary or something of this nature. On the 13th of October, Mercury in Libra in your 5th house is going to square Pluto in Capricorn in your 8th house at 29 degrees. Mercury is your ruling planet. When Mercury gets to 29 degrees, you'll probably notice that, like these days seem to be my harder days or hardest days, where there's like a challenge or something to overcome, or things just don't go to plan. Like yesterday, as a Gemini rising and Virgo moon, tried to do my live stream and I just had problem after problem after problem. And then I looked at the transits and lo and behold, Mercury was at 29 degrees Virgo. So again, Mercury's in Libra in your 5th house, squaring Pluto in Capricorn in your 8th house. So you may feel challenged or conflicted over what to do about your mutual resources, or something to do with your business or taxes, something to do with your business partner, or even you may feel a bit conflicted over your love life, okay, and intimacy as well, or perhaps your relationship with your children, because the 5th house rules over children. Okay, so there may just be some, hiccups in conversation to overcome here, and it's about getting on the same page or just overcoming certain fears and insecurities. On the 14th of October, well, actually around the 13th as well as the 14th of October, we're going to have a lot of transits taking place in a short time, not to mention Mercury will be entering Scorpio. So basically what's going to happen is we will have a T-square forming between Mars in Cancer in your 2nd house, Sun in Libra in your 5th house, and Chiron in Aries in your 11th house. So there's some kind of challenge to overcome or point of tension, and maybe this is about what action do I take, what direction do I go in. Maybe this relates to your career or finances or long-term goals and dreams. But we're also going to have the Sun in Libra in your 5th house trining Jupiter in Gemini in your 1st house at 21 degrees. The last time this happened was in 2012. So for Jupiter to be in your 1st house receiving this trine from the Sun is super positive. So yes, there may be challenges, and whatever precipitates this could be something that brings up inner conflict with you or conflict with another person, but there's a big opportunity for a breakthrough here, a breakthrough in your creativity and creative projects, in your own business, in launching your own business or expanding it further, in your love life, your romantic life, your sex life, or even like in your relationship with your children, or maybe there's some kind of breakthrough that occurs in the life of one of your children. And perhaps this is you discovering certain talents or hobbies that you have, or your dharma, and you have some kind of clarity when it comes to your life path, or perhaps at the very least just the next step that you should be taking in your life. So again, this is all unfolding around the 13th, 14th of October. Emotions may sort of be up and down during that period of time. But let's move on. On the 17th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries at 24 degrees in your 11th house, conjunct Chiron. Okay, so a bit of a pressure point here. It's squaring Pluto, but it's sextiling Jupiter in Gemini. So kind of similar vibes to the 13th, 14th of October, right? We've got the tension, we've got the conflict, but then we have this opportunity for healing and growth. So both times we're having positive aspects with Jupiter in Gemini. So Geminis can overcome, whatever's being thrown at them mid-month in October. And, always in my opinion, but, it's just personal belief system there. So this can indicate the completion of a long-term goal or project, but it requires a bit of surrendering, a bit of letting go, taking hands off the wheel and just being like, I just hope for the best. There's a leap of faith, I feel, that needs to be taken around the 17th of October, plus or minus a couple of weeks. This can indicate walking away from a friendship or a community that you're part of, but it's for the best for you. You're the one making this decision because it's sextile Jupiter, right? So maybe you're like, I know that this is in my best interests, even if it's hard for me to do this, or even just pull back from this relationship or from this friendship. On a different note though, perhaps there's going to be a moment where you heal a long-standing problem or relationship with a friend. Okay, again, because this is occurring in the 11th house, and maybe this is quite a big hurdle for you to overcome, Gemini. So on a different note, this can indicate that you are maybe deactivating a social media account, even if it's just temporary. Or there could be some kind of confusion when it comes to an investor or someone that you collaborate with. Maybe you don't know whether they're going to help you financially. Maybe they pull out, or perhaps you're the one who's realizing that this would have been an amazing opportunity, but it doesn't like gel with my values, my belief systems, my priorities. Or maybe it's just put on pause and it's suspended, and it's going to come back around, especially because Jupiter's just gone retrograde. So maybe you and this investor or this collaborator are going to revisit this perhaps around February in 2025. Okay, on the 17th/18th of October, Venus is going to enter Sagittarius. Yay. We love to see Venus in the 7th house. It happens every year. Basically, the 7th house rules over relationships, contracts, agreements, and so on and so forth. So this represents your marriage partner, business partner, and whatnot. And wherever Venus goes, this is where we can experience enjoyment, love, more satisfaction, more compromise, a win-win outcome, especially in the 7th house. So this can indicate an improvement in your relationship, an improvement in your love life, maybe even entering into a relationship with another person. So if you were dating, maybe you're taking it to another level, and this is supported by that new moon eclipse in your 5th house as well at the beginning of the month. This can indicate that you're getting along with your business partner, working on something new, getting on the same page with a business partner or someone that you collaborate with. This can indicate maybe a win-win outcome with a new client or an existing client closing an important deal and whatnot, or maybe investing in the services of another person, and you hold them in high regard, and it's like, oh, I'm so glad I get to receive this person's services and work with them one-on-one. Okay, so lastly with this can indicate, oh, I'm so sorry, that was my alarm. I thought I had that on silent. Sorry, Geminis. That scared me as much as it did you, I'm sure. But we're right on time, which is really good for me. So this can indicate that you're making a promise or an agreement with another person and you're on the same page. So again, this is a 3-week period of Venus in Sagittarius in your 7th house. So this is from the 17th/18th of October. So Gemini, that's all I have for you for your October 2024 horoscope. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. And looking forward to seeing you guys in November. So now let's move on to Cancer. Just one moment, guys. Okay. Hi Cancer, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your 2024 October horoscope. So you happen to be one of the signs that is most affected by the astrology of October, and that's because you are a cardinal sign and there's a lot of activity happening in cardinal signs this month. So basically, around the 2nd or 3rd of October, depending where you live in the world, we're going to have a new moon solar eclipse in Libra at 10 degrees in your 4th house. Now, it's conjunct Lilith, exact. It's also conjunct Mercury at 11 degrees, and it's squaring Mars in Cancer in your 1st house at 13 degrees. So what this means is the Cancers who will be most affected will be those around, let's say 15 degrees to about 27, 28 degrees, okay? Ultimately, a new moon eclipse is like a supercharged new moon, and because you are ruled by the moon, just generally speaking, Cancers are very affected by the lunar cycle activities, especially that of eclipses. So with this new moon eclipse happening in your 4th house, this can indicate that you are seeing movement take place or making important decisions or wanting to take action with respect to your property and living circumstances. So this can indicate that you may be looking to buy, sell, put your property on the market, relocate in some fashion. Maybe you're renting and you want to move into a different rental, or you've seen one and you've got your eye on it and you're submitting an application. This can indicate that you may have plans to build a home or extend your home or do some important renovations. This can indicate that maybe someone is moving out of your home, or maybe someone is moving into your home. Because this new moon eclipse is with the South Node in Libra, this indicates that whatever's taking place, it's been on your mind for a while, or it's been discussed before, it's been put forward before. Maybe you've had a hunch about this, or you've just had like an intuitive download about movement on the property and living circumstances front. Now, this won't be the case for every single Cancer. It just depends on you and your chart and how this is playing out. For others of you, this could just be related to your family life, your home life, domestic life, as well as your emotional health and well-being, because the fourth house rules over these things as well, right? So this can indicate that you are maybe looking to start a family, expand your existing family further. Maybe you are looking to adopt or foster children. On a different note, this can indicate that you're making important decisions about the future of your family, okay? Like maybe you already have children, you're not looking to expand your family further, but it's like, we've got to make important decisions here for the sake of our family. So this can indicate that there are big changes coming through to the dynamics at home. Some of you may be receiving news that you're going to become a grandparent. Some of you may be reconnecting with a family member that you've been estranged from, or that you haven't seen in a very long time. This can indicate an opportunity to return to your homeland, or to the land where your family or where your ancestors are from. This can indicate an opportunity to learn something new about your ancestry and lineage. And some of you may be discovering important knowledge, perhaps like a family secret, and maybe this is shared with you by another person, because the reason I say this is because the new moon is conjunct Lilith. So this is something taboo, something forbidden, something that's been suppressed or repressed, and now it's coming up. Okay, so a secret could be shared with you, or it could be you who is communicating something that you've kept to yourself with a family member, or with someone that you share a home with, that you're living with. Okay, so again, this is the 2nd or 3rd of October, depending where you live in the world. It's happening in your 4th house. It's squaring you because it's a cardinal sign. It's squaring Mars in Cancer in your 1st house. So to me, this indicates that you're the initiator. You're taking action. You're the instigator. You're the one who's either driving this or reacting to this. So you may just want to make sure that you are tempering your emotional responses to what's happening with family around this time. On a positive note, I'm not saying that this is like negative, because, buying, selling, relocating, starting a family, finding out you're going to be a parent or grandparent, that's all exciting stuff, right? But just the nature of the eclipse squaring Mars is like, oh, now I have to take action, now I have to move. In terms of the positive astrology that's supporting this eclipse, we've got Mars in a grand trine with Venus and Saturn, so all in water signs. So emotionally, there's support here. You can, ride the wave of whatever kind of crazy eclipse energy is going on, or that you're feeling around this time. Now, on the 9th of October, Jupiter is going to station retrograde in Gemini at 21 degrees in your 12th house. So the 12th house is a very spiritual house. It's a very hidden house. It's very creative in nature, but it also rules over the subconscious and self-sabotaging behaviors, maladaptive coping mechanisms and whatnot. But Jupiter in the 12th house is very, very healing, and I've experienced this transit myself. In fact, for me, Jupiter is currently in my 12th house. So basically this can indicate deepening your spiritual knowledge, integrating your spiritual knowledge further, honing your intuitive abilities, your psychic abilities, maybe looking at dream interpretation, or working with some kind of esoteric practitioner, maybe having something like a past life regression, or an important when I say important, I mean like enlightening tarot reading or astrology reading or something like this. This can indicate that you may be going into retreat or a period of isolation. Maybe this is to focus on a creative project, birthing something new, or maybe, going into retreat in a spiritual way, like a silent retreat. Or for some of you, this could even indicate a period of healing. So perhaps looking at booking into a rehabilitation facility or center. And Jupiter will be retrograde for 5 months. So whatever's happening around the 9th of October, this is like a 5 or so month period until early February 2025 that you're going through this process. And if you're working on a creative project or learning something new, maybe this is related to yoga or meditation or music as well. Or creative writing, film work, perhaps it won't be ready till around early February in 2025. Now, on the 13th of October, Mercury in Libra in your 4th house will square Pluto in Capricorn in your 7th house at 29 degrees. So 29 degrees is the critical degree, it's the anaretic degree, and it can bring through maybe challenging conversations or fears or insecurities that are coming up, or just important conversations about mutual resources. So this can indicate a time where important contracts are being signed or put forward, or maybe you're looking at it for renegotiation. And this could be related to property, land, real estate, maybe even vehicles as well. Maybe important decisions being made on behalf of a family parent, maybe your child, someone who's in your care, a dependent of yours, maybe an elderly parent or grandparent. This can indicate tense conversations between you and your child, or you and maybe a family member of yours, or perhaps, let's say conversations where you're really trying hard to get on the same page with you and your significant other, but it's related to family matters or mutual resources or property and living circumstances. On the 13th/14th of October, we're going to see a lot of just hectic astrology unfolding. On one hand, we've got a T-square forming between Mars in Cancer in your 1st house, the Sun in Libra in your 4th house, and Chiron in Aries in your 10th house at 21 degrees. But what is, let's say, helping you to overcome perhaps a tense situation that's unfolding is the Sun in Libra in your 4th house trining Jupiter in Gemini in your 12th house. So in a nutshell, there's an enormous opportunity for healing and forgiveness to take place with respect specifically to your family, or perhaps healing something with respect to your upbringing, your inner child. It's maybe related to just family matters, something that happened in childhood, just making peace with perhaps your living situation with housemates. There's like a really deep acceptance that can be coming through, even if it doesn't connect to another person. I really think that what will follow, perhaps a moment of crisis, will be a moment of profound healing and release. And maybe like you're triggered in the moment, but you just receive all of these signs and synchronicities, and something really big is shifting around the 13th or 14th of October. I don't want to undersell this, so please make a note of these dates, because these something will happen on these dates for everybody, I have no doubt, but especially for cardinal signs. So take a note and feel free to report back. On the 17th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries in your 10th house at 24 degrees. It will be conjunct Chiron. It will be square Pluto in Capricorn, but it'll also be sextile Jupiter in Gemini at 21 degrees. So Jupiter in Gemini is coming in to bestow blessings, heal, help, and expand in one way or another. The 10th house is related to our public self, our public life, our career milestones, as well as important developments with respect to our status. And, you know, status can be parental status, relationship status, employment status, you know, property ownership status, or just property in general. And 24 degrees is the Piscean degree, so this can be about letting go of something, a surrendering of something, or receiving an important, maybe even like assistance from another person that's really, really generous. So let's go through a few different ways that this can play out. This can be the completion of a career milestone. This can be the ending of a job, walking away from an industry that you've been part of for a while, maybe announcing that you're closing down your business. This can indicate that you are maybe just taking a leave of absence, even if it's for a few weeks or a few months, and perhaps you'll be returning, I want to say around March, when we have a new moon eclipse in Aries, and Mercury's retrograde then in Aries, and Venus will also go retrograde in Aries. On a different note, this can indicate that you may be announcing something in a public way. Getting married, getting divorced, becoming a parent, becoming a grandparent, you know, employment change. Maybe you are openly talking in a public way about Piscean themes, hence 24 degrees. So healing, forgiveness, addiction, yoga, meditation, something spiritual in nature. Or perhaps you're receiving a qualification that's related to those areas. So a qualification or successful completion of like a certification. So maybe this is in photography, film, music, meditation, yoga, you know, something metaphysical in nature. I myself, I have my midheaven in Aries, and I'll be completing 100 hours of a yoga instructor course around then, so the shoe fits for me. And this is plus or minus 2 weeks, okay, from the 17th of October. But Cancer, let's finish up with Venus entering Sagittarius in your 6th house. So this will be around the 17th or 18th of October, depending where you live in the world. Wherever Venus goes, we can experience harmony, peace, and enjoyment here, or we can be spending money or investing resources into whatever that house rules over. Okay, so this can indicate that you are seeing improvements in your health, enjoying exercise, enjoying integrating new daily habits and routines, changing diet, because the 6th house is related to diet and Venus rules over food. This can be restoring peace and harmony in a relationship that has been conflictual or in some kind of conflict that you've been involved in. This can indicate perhaps being reunited with a pet, or adopting a pet, fostering a pet, just enjoying the company of your pets. And this can also indicate that you may be taking some new, let's say having some new employees come on board and you're getting along really well with them. So ultimately, some kind of difficult situation or challenging situation can be overcome during this 3 or so week period from the 17th/18th of October. So Cancer, that's all I have for you for October 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to move on to Leo in just a moment. Just one moment, guys. Okay. So Leo sun, moon, and risings. Oh, hang on. let me change the icon here. Okay, so this is for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Welcome to your October 2024 horoscope. So the month starts off with a bang. We've got a new moon solar eclipse happening in the sign of Libra. And this solar eclipse is taking place in your third house at 10 degrees. It's making some spicy aspects. It's conjunct Lilith exactly. It's also conjunct Mercury at 11 degrees. And this will all be squaring Mars in Cancer in your 12th house. Okay, so new moon eclipses are like supercharged new moons. It's about a new chapter taking place, planting the new seed, some kind of new development occurring. And in the third house, first of all, this is sextiling you, which is, positive for Leos. But this is about some kind of new education course that you're starting, or perhaps you're putting course content or material together, receiving or applying for a new qualification, certification, diploma, license, maybe apprenticeship. So this can indicate that you are undertaking one or more of these areas. Maybe you're putting together an important business proposal. You're drawing up a business plan, looking to go into business with another person or with a small group of people. The third house is also associated with vehicles. So this could be you, applying for some kind of license. So car license, boat license, plane license, helicopter. Can't think of any other ones. And the seventh house is also related to social media and the online space. So maybe you are looking at launching a website, a new product. Perhaps you are creating a new social media account or wanting to expand your existing business in some way. The third house is also related to our local neighborhood and community, and it's also associated with friends and siblings. So there could be a new chapter that's taking place with you and a sibling or an extended relative. You could be getting involved in your local community or neighborhood somehow. And perhaps some of you are joining like an ongoing, socializing activity where you meet up weekly or monthly or what have you, or you're just enrolling in something that will allow you to make some new friends and make some new contacts. So it's a very good time for networking. The third house is related to contracts. So there may be an important new contract or agreement that you are entering into. Because this is a new moon solar eclipse and you're ruled by the sun, this will have a very direct impact on you, Leos, because new moon solar eclipses and new moons, that's your jam. When the sun is, involved in important aspects or transits, this is what impacts the life of a Leo. Okay, so like I said, these are the flow of different things you may be going through, or the different ways that this can be playing out. Again, this is around the 2nd or 3rd of October, plus or minus, about 4 weeks. And as I said at the beginning, this is a new chapter. You're planting the seeds for something new. Rome wasn't built in a day. This isn't about just like getting something off the ground in a few weeks. This may take a few months to unfold. This could take 6 months or even a year to get off the ground. Okay, so on the 9th of October, Jupiter is going to station retrograde in Gemini at 21 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 11th house. So Jupiter will be retrograde for about 5 months. The 11th house is related to your long-term goals and dreams, big projects, like quite complicated projects, innovation as well. And so Jupiter retrograde here is like you're working hard on this, you're studying, you're researching, you're trying to pull it all together. The 11th house is related to passive forms of income and residual forms of income. So maybe you're working hard at getting a passive form of income up and running. This can be a push to gather investors, or maybe working on launching something on, let's say, a Kickstarter program or something similar. maybe applying for a government grant or some kind of scholarship. The 11th house is also related to PhDs. So this could be you applying for a PhD, or maybe this is when you're doing the meaty part of your PhD research and assessment or thesis or whatever it is you're working on. The 11th house is related to our wider network, community, human rights, social justice and whatnot. So this can indicate that maybe you're getting involved in, protests, community work, human rights, something political in nature. And so this can take up to about February 2025, or maybe even June 2025, when Jupiter leaves the sign of Gemini and enters the sign of Cancer. In any case, this is definitely a time where I think you will be looking at just increasing your network and your contacts, or perhaps even collaborating with a group of people on a big project. Okay, on the 13th of October, Mercury in Libra in your 3rd house will square Pluto in Capricorn in your 6th house at 29 degrees. 29 degrees is the critical degree. It's an anaretic degree. It's a hectic degree. So whenever we have planets getting to 29 degrees and certainly squares, this can indicate a moment of conflict, tension, challenge, and whatnot. Mercury in the 3rd house can be conversations with clients, co-workers, friends, and siblings, or maybe even neighbors. The square to Pluto in the 6th house, maybe this is about pets, work, employees. Perhaps this is about loans, debts, etc. And basically this can be a loaded conversation, or perhaps even just like your mental thought processes that are related to your day-to-day work life, your habits, something to do with your health, decisions to be made about pets, decisions or conversations to be made about a conflictual situation that you're experiencing. Maybe this is all on an internal level, okay? This could just even be like a stressful day at work. Hope not, but if so, just, be mindful that may be coming up. But there's also this transformative power of Pluto at play, where you can overcome mental hurdles and obstacles and challenges. Okay, so on the 13th/14th of October, we're going to see a lot of astrological activity taking place. We're going to have a T-square forming between Mars in Cancer in your 12th house, the Sun, your ruling planet, in Libra in the 3rd house, and Chiron in Aries in the 9th house. Then we're going to have the Sun in Libra trining Jupiter in Gemini. And this is all happening at 21 degrees. So I'm lumping it all in together. This is really about your vision for the future, your world beliefs. Perhaps it's related to education, travel, maybe a moral dilemma that is coming up for you in a way. Maybe this relates to your spiritual views, your religious views, your political views. But ultimately, Leo, with the Sun in Libra trining Jupiter in Gemini in your 11th house, this is an overwhelmingly positive aspect that you're experiencing. So there's enormous opportunity here for growth, expansion, getting a new project off the ground, setting new long-term goals, finally pursuing a dream of yours. It's been a long, tightly held dream, but it may be precipitated by a moment of challenge beforehand, doubt, insecurity. Can I really do this? Maybe there are just certain obstacles to work through before you experience this breakthrough. On a different note, this can indicate a breakthrough in friendships, in relationships with a sibling, with maybe extended relatives, or in your local community, in your local neighborhood. Maybe you're working or banding together with people in the local community to overcome some kind of challenge or obstacle that your community has been facing. On a different note, maybe you're being accepted into some kind of apprenticeship or long-term study program. Again, PhDs are coming up, or diplomas, certifications and whatnot. So take note of whatever is happening around the 13th/14th 14th of October, even plus or minus a couple of days. Moving along though, on the 17th of October, there'll be a full moon in Aries at 24 degrees, and this is occurring in your 9th house. It's trining you, thank God. So this is like a positive aspect that the full moon is making to you. The full moon is conjunct Chiron though, and it's squaring Pluto in Capricorn. In saying that, it's sextiling Jupiter in Gemini. Okay, so what's the 9th house related to? Travel, education, import and export, publishing, religion, spirituality, your world beliefs, and your moral code, and also your connection to a higher power. Okay, so this rules over all of your belief systems, really. So this can indicate that some of you are experiencing a spiritual awakening, a religious awakening, or perhaps something is ready to be published, it's ready for circulation, it's ready to be put forward to a teacher or an educator. Maybe you are concluding some kind of study. Maybe there is something that's ready for import or export in your business. And for others of you, this can indicate that you're experiencing some kind of enlightenment or illumination regarding your vision for your future. Okay, so maybe you had doubts or insecurities about your life path. You know, how should I be focusing my attention and my energy? And maybe you're receiving signs and synchronicities that are confirming or affirming for you in some way, shape, or form. And lastly, the 9th house is related to travel. So this can, and the law, I meant to say. So this can indicate the conclusion of some kind of legal battle that you've been embroiled in, or even just legal matters. This can see you perhaps receiving permanent residency, citizenship, an important visa. And the 9th house, what did I just say before? Legal matters. What did I just say? Okay, I was talking about travel. Travel. That's what I wanted to mention. So perhaps a travel trip is coming to an end. Okay, so maybe you've been abroad and now it's like, okay, you know, I'm purchasing my plane ticket home, I'm flying home, or maybe you are finally able to take an international trip, or perhaps even an interstate trip that has been on the agenda for a while. Lastly, Leo, for the month, on the 17th/18th of October, Venus is going to enter the sign of Sagittarius, which means it will be transiting your 5th house, okay, for about 3 weeks. This is amazing. We love to see Venus in the 5th house. Why? Because Venus rules over creativity, love, romance, your hobbies, your passions. It also rules over children, and you know, it's associated with what brings us joy, what brings us happiness. Okay, so Venus transiting the 5th house can improve your love life, improve your romantic life, improve your dating life, even if you're not with anyone, or this can just, you know, improve your existing romantic relationship. On a different note, this can indicate that you are experiencing like a positive period with your child, or with one of children in general in your life. So maybe you're getting along, maybe you're doing something fun with them, traveling with them, starting some kind of creative project together. And you know, Venus rules over love and relationships. So Venus in the 5th house can indicate that you and your significant other may be doing something creative together. Okay, so some kind of hobby, passion, maybe going dancing. Just this is also a great time for socializing as well. So you can be feeling more social. There can be more social events and activities that you are invited to. And this can indicate a time, 3-ish week period, where you're experiencing a lot of success with your creative projects, with your business if you own your own business. Maybe you're enjoying the process of starting a new business or expanding it further. And maybe some of you are just making more time for arts, crafts, just leisure. Also like a small holiday as well, maybe coming up around this time. So Leo, that's all I have for you for October 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Now I'm going to move on to Virgo. Okay, just one moment, Virgos. And after Virgo, I'm going to be taking a short 10-minute break before I come back and finish off with the next 6 signs. Okay, so we'll be returning to Libra. But this is Virgo. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Risings, welcome to your October 2024 horoscope. The month starts off with a new moon solar eclipse in Libra in your second house. So this will be occurring at 10 degrees. It will be exactly conjunct Lilith. The new moon eclipse will also be conjunct Mercury at 11 degrees, and it will be squaring Mars in Cancer in your 11th house. So new moon eclipses are essentially like really powerful, loaded, supercharged new moons. So it's about a new chapter starting in your life, planting the new seeds, some kind of new development that occurs, and it'll probably occur quite quickly as well, because it is conjunct Mercury, which is the fastest moving personal planet, and it squares Mars, and Mars is the planet of action. So boom, something comes up and it's related to second house themes. So this could be an opportunity for you to develop a new stream of income, discover a new way of making money, increase your salary. Maybe you're making an important financial investment, and you could be procuring an important resource somehow. To me, it looks like there are formal contracts being signed. Why? Libra is one of the signs that's related to contracts and agreements, and it's also conjunct Mercury, but also 10 degrees is the Capricorn degree. There's something official here. Maybe this is related to your workplace, okay, your employer, or if you own your own business, maybe you have to sign paperwork or go on record or paper agreeing to something. And some of you could just be, like I said, developing a new stream of income. And because this new moon eclipse is with the South Node, there's awareness of this already. Maybe this opportunity was presented to you before and it wasn't the right time. Maybe you're just already aware of it and now you're able to commit to it. Or perhaps you had this idea some time ago, maybe sometime between mid-July last year and now, and it's like, okay, now's the moment to act and take this further. On a different note, the second house is one of the property houses. So it's related to property and real estate. So maybe this is making an important decision with respect to property and real estate. Maybe subdividing a property, purchasing, buying, selling, relocating, signing on new tenants, or maybe you're looking at a new rental. Maybe you're just looking at getting like a holiday house, a cabin somewhere, a beach house, for money. If that's an available option to you. And on a different note, the second house is related to food, teeth, as I said before, resources, as well as anything to do with the 5 senses. So it's related to nature, farming, cooking, and whatnot. So maybe you're looking at, planting a garden or planting flowers in the garden, orchards. Maybe you're looking at growing your own food, farming, maybe just learning about these things, doing a cooking course, or, looking at maybe something to do with hairdressing or makeup artistry, as is, the related to second house matters, which rules over all of these things. Okay, Virgo. So again, this is the 2nd or 3rd of October. Pay attention to what is happening around this time, plus or minus, about 4 weeks. And it's not about doing the thing as soon as the eclipse happens. Maybe the idea occurs to you, you have the contract in front of you, you're putting a contract in front of another person, or you're just like making that commitment, but perhaps this is going to take a few months to unfold, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, So that's the new moon eclipse that is happening on the 2nd of October. And I'll just mention that the square to Mars in the 11th house is like, I'm acting in my long-term best interests here. Or maybe this is for you and another person. Maybe, there's a little bit of dissent from a community that you're part of, friends, or perhaps even an older sibling as well, but you're like, whatever, I'm going to go through with it. On the 9th of October, Jupiter's going to station retrograde in the sign of Gemini at 21 degrees in your 10th house. So the 10th house is related to our public life, public status, anything to do with status in general. What do I mean? Parental status, employment status, property ownership status, marital status, relationship status. So when Jupiter goes retrograde here, this can indicate that you're working on changing your status in one or more of these areas, or perhaps you are renouncing something or making it public knowledge. I'll give you some examples. You may be working on a business collaboration with another person, or perhaps you are separating your business from your business partner and deciding to go solo. Some of you could be announcing a separation or a divorce. It doesn't have to be though. For others of you, you could be working on actually taking your relationship to the next level, but it's not ready yet because Jupiter's retrograde. Maybe by February next year, you and your significant other can establish what you are and where you're going, whether that's becoming exclusive, getting engaged, or planning to get married. There can be a change in your parental responsibilities that are being discussed. So, if you have a child custody arrangement, maybe you're making changes to what that arrangement is. On a different note, you may be taking a step back from your work responsibilities, maybe just reducing the workload. Can kind of go a couple of different ways. I've noticed with Jupiter, it can either load up our plate. So for some Virgos, this will be an intensive 5-month period of work. Why? Because Jupiter is expanding what it's touching, right? But Jupiter also rules over freedom and liberation. So sometimes Jupiter retrograde in the 10th house can free you from work responsibilities. If this is the case, I would say it's not your decision, or something else has come up that's more pressing, that's meaning that you have to take a step back. Okay, so those are a few different ways that this can play out. Some of you may be appealing some kind of decision that's been handed down by an authority figure, or maybe something to do with the government. Maybe you're trying to appeal a certain decision or overturn it. Maybe you're actually going under someone's tutelage whom you really respect over the next 5 months. So this could be an intensive period of study, so that when you come out the other side in February, when Jupiter's direct again, you're far more qualified than what you were at this point in time. Okay, so again, that's the 9th of October. So next we've got Mercury, your ruling planet, in Libra in your 2nd house, squaring Pluto in Capricorn in your 5th house at 29 degrees. This is on the 13th of October. Whenever Mercury makes strong aspects, or even just retrogrades or changing signs, this is your ruling planet. So this is where you're putting your energy and your attention and whatnot. So the square here, and also the hectic 29 degrees and erratic degree, can indicate that there may just be some kind of important conversation that's occurring about finances and resources. And maybe this is with you and your significant other. Maybe this is about how much money you're spending on your business, or how much money you're spending on your hobbies, passions, or maybe even just what you do to blow off steam. So maybe this is I need to pull the reins in on how much I'm shopping or how much I'm going out, because the 5th house is leisure activities. On a different note, this can be difficult conversations with your child about finances and resources, okay? Because the 5th house rules over children. Ultimately, the 2nd house is about finances, resources, as well as food. And then the 5th house is what are we doing to indulge? What are we doing for fun? Or, what are we spending on our business? Or, this could be about cutting back on drinking, cutting back on smoking, cutting back on sweets, or something to do with your diet that you've you feel has gone too far or is somehow a little bit out of control. It's just a 1 day, 1 moment transit, so it's not necessarily a big deal, but it's worth mentioning, okay? Because, you know, Pluto can just bring up some fears and insecurities and things that we'd rather not talk about and rather not think about. Also on the 13th, but, you know, slash the 14th of October, we're going to see some interesting astrology play out. We've got a T-square happening between Mars in Cancer in your 11th house, the Sun in Libra in your 2nd house, and Chiron in Aries in your 8th house. But we're also going to see the Sun in Libra in the 2nd house, trine Jupiter in Gemini in your 10th house. So in a nutshell, I don't want to go too much into the nuts and bolts of the astrology of it because it can be a bit overwhelming. The trine between the Sun and Jupiter indicates a really huge opportunity for growth and expansion in your public persona, your public life, your career, how you present to the world, maybe an opportunity to promote yourself, promote your business. Your actions will be very, very visible at this time. Some of you may have an opportunity to invest money in furthering your education or in doing something that's going to elevate your employability status or your career on a different note, right? So, you know, maybe this is just like I'm investing money and resources in something that's going to have a really positive impact on how I'm perceived in the workplace. Now, of course, not all of you are working. Maybe you're retired. Maybe you're not able to work. This can just indicate that you are aligning your personal values and belief systems with what you're putting out in the world. And maybe this feels really good for you to just be able to be like, this is what I believe in. And maybe you have an opportunity to share your wealth of knowledge with other people. Maybe it's about second house matters. So farming, cooking, you know, maybe you're a financial advisor or you have knowledge to share about finances, resources, crypto, nature, you know, anything second house related. But in saying this, the T-square with Mars in Cancer, the Sun and Chiron in your 11th house, 2nd house, and 8th house, these are all money houses, guys. So to me, it looks like there is some kind of moment of, do I really want to spend all of this money? What about my long-term prospects? What about passive forms of income? Maybe you're, you know, getting approval, or not even approval, but you're running this by someone else and you're like, I really hope that they, you know, give me the thumbs up for this. Maybe you're going against someone's advice or going against financial advice on something that, you know, is a really big deal to you. And you're like, no, I just have to do what I have to do. And maybe this dissent is coming from your community or from friends of yours, because we do have Mars in the 11th house. On the 17th of October, we're going to have a full moon in Aries, and this is going to be taking place at 24 degrees in your 8th house. It's also conjunct Chiron at 21 degrees, and it's squaring Pluto in Capricorn, but it's also sextiling Jupiter in Gemini. So in long story short, there's some tension in the full moon, but it's being alleviated by the sextile to Jupiter in Gemini. So full moons are all about something coming to an end, something coming to completion. It's 11:11 as I'm saying this right now, where I am. I'm in Queensland. So this can indicate that a conclusion or a decision is reached regarding a matter that relates to your mutual resources with another person. So this can be to do with, you know, your earnings, their earnings, you know, the breakdown of a certain investment or financial contributions. On a different note, the 8th house is related to taxes and wills. So this can indicate that you are submitting your taxes or you're getting your rebate. On a different note, maybe you are drawing up you're concluding the process of drawing up a will, or you're receiving resources from another person, maybe receiving inheritance, especially if it's been in probate for a while. And also the 8th house is related to healing and transformation. So some of you could have a really big breakthrough when it comes to your sessions with a psychologist, therapist. Maybe you have a really illuminating reading with like an astrologer, tarot reader, psychic, or something of this nature. Maybe you're just concluding your sessions with a psychologist or therapist and you're like, I don't need this anymore. I think I'm done here. Lastly, for the month Virgo, from the 17th to the 18th of October, Venus will enter the sign of Sagittarius and it will transit your 4th house. So wherever Venus goes, this is where we can be spending money or investing in resources that are related to that house, or we can experience some kind of harmony, peace, balance, or positive outcome with respect to relationships. Okay, so the 4th house is related to home, property, and family. So you can be enjoying family time, enjoying your time at home, at the house, or maybe a beach house, or maybe you're spending time like with family interstate because of the sign of Sagittarius. You may be spending money on things for the home, so home decor, decorating the house. Maybe you're hosting some kind of social event at your property or at your home. You could have friends staying with you during this 3-week-ish period of time. Possibly they're women because Venus, or maybe they're from interstate or from overseas because of it being Venus in Sagittarius. And on a different note, this can indicate having an important conversation with a family member, with your partner, with your children, or someone that you live with. Maybe a compromise is required, but a win-win outcome with a little bit of work and effort is a possibility here. So Virgo, that's all I have for you for October 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to take a short 10-minute break, and then I'm going to come back with the horoscope for Libra. And thank you everyone who is here with me live in the chat. It's so nice to have your company, and I really appreciate all of your support. So now 10-minute break, and I'll see you guys soon. Welcome back. Hi Libra Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your October 2024 horoscope. It's all about Libras this month, and that's because we have the new moon solar eclipse occurring in the sign of Libra. So this will be on the 2nd/3rd of October, depending where you live in the world. In saying that, we can experience eclipse events up to like 4 weeks before or even 4 weeks after the eclipse. Okay, so just keep an eye out for whatever is happening around this time in your life. Now, in terms of what new moon solar eclipses can bring into our lives, especially when it's in, your sign, first of all, it's about a new chapter that's starting or a new seed that is being planted somehow. And Libra is the sign of peace, harmony, balance, as well as relationships, marriage, and contracts. Now, this particular eclipse is actually going to be exactly conjunct Lilith at 10 degrees. So what this represents is that, we want to take Lilith and the themes of Lilith into account. So Lilith is all about the way in which we may feel outraged about something, but it's like something that we've repressed, okay? So forbidden topics could be coming up somehow around this time. And sorry guys, just one moment. So forbidden topics could be coming up around this time, or things that you have, kept silent about, or things that you thought you didn't need to bring up in your relationship. And it's like, okay, this is coming out now, and maybe it's coming out in a somewhat explosive way. So basically new moon solar eclipses are all about new moons or new chapters beginning on a supercharged level. It's like a new moon on steroids, okay? So, sorry guys. With this new moon solar eclipse, it's also conjunct Mercury, and it's squaring Mars in Cancer in your 10th house. So the conjunction to Mercury represents that an important conversation is occurring. You're communicating this, or someone's communicating this to you. Maybe there's, a contract that needs to be signed, or an agreement that needs to be signed off on. And for some of you, this could be breaking an agreement, walking away from a relationship, walking away from a business partnership, or just, deciding that you can't participate in some kind of arrangement anymore. Okay, so for Libra rising, sun and moons, and I do implore anyone who has Libra in their big three to be watching this, to watch this horoscope. Ultimately, this can indicate that there is a new path in your life that you want to take, a new direction that you want to go in. You're having clarity on your life purpose. Maybe an opportunity from the past is coming back up for you, and that would be because we've got the South Node involved with this eclipse, and the South Node will bring something back from the past. So if you're a Libra sun, maybe you are starting a new job, entering into a new industry, or there are big changes happening in your career. You may be going into business with another person, but with the South Node here, maybe you have to let go of an old job, let go of another business partnership or a deal in order to be able to move forward with this, new opportunity that's coming through. If you're a Libra sun, this is very much related to career and contracts. If you're a Libra moon, this can indicate that there are big changes happening with respect to your family. So this could be, even if you're a Libra sun, moon, or rising, this is a time where you may be getting pregnant, or you may be trying to conceive. You may be announcing that you're already expecting, whether that's you or your partner. I digress. If you're a Libra moon, this can indicate a new chapter that's coming through. maybe in the lives of your children or your parents, or some kind of important family matter is coming up around this time. Now, if you are a Libra moon, this can also indicate changes to your property and living circumstances. So maybe you're buying, selling, looking to relocate, whether this is interstate or abroad, or maybe there are changes to existing contracts and paperwork with, let's say a property that you're already involved with. Maybe you manage a property and you're looking to get someone else to manage the property, you're bringing someone in on the lease or something of this nature. Okay, but ultimately a new moon, a new moon solar eclipse for all Libras, it's bringing something new in your life. And 10 degrees is the Capricorn degree, so it's like an official change. This is like announcement worthy. Job, relationship, parental status, property status. I'm together with this person, we're getting married. No, I'm leaving this person, this partnership is over. So there's really big movement happening with respect to partnerships and relationships. And for many of you Libras, because this is in your sign, this is change that you are initiating or that you are enacting, right? And again, this conjunction to Lilith is like, you don't want to talk about this, but now we're going to talk about this. I've kept my mouth closed on this for too long. You've been avoiding this topic. We're going to talk about the imbalances in this relationship. We're going to talk about how it's a one-way street. It's not equal give and take, or I'm not happy with my share of the responsibilities in this partnership, whether that's romantic, business, or even a friendship. Okay, so there's a big shakeup happening for Libras, but just know that this eclipse is ruled by Venus. Okay, and Venus is your ruling planet, and Venus is in Scorpio, but it's only making good aspects. Venus is in a grand trine with Saturn and Mars, all in water signs. So this is whatever's taking place around this time emotionally, you'll be the better for it. You'll have the support that you need. You'll be able to overcome this. You'll be able to really listen to your intuition, which will be crystal clear around this time. And maybe you're taking action that other people don't agree with, but you will have so much, let's say, conviction that the path that you want to go on is the right path. So on the 9th of October, Jupiter is going to station retrograde in Gemini, and this is going to be in your 9th house. So Jupiter will be retrograde for about 5 months until early February. Jupiter, first of all, belongs in the 9th house because the 9th house is Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter loves to be here. It's very happy and at home here. This can indicate that you are rethinking on a really grand scale your belief systems, political, world beliefs, spiritual, religious, how you view the world, and so on and so forth. The 9th house is also associated to education. So some of you may be going back to study. Some of you may be reprising the role of teacher or educator. Even if you're already studying, for some of you, this could be taking a break for a few months while Jupiter is retrograde, or you could be looking at changing your course, your major, something significant about the trajectory of your education, or maybe you're actually going to be either studying abroad or looking to apply to study abroad, or perhaps you're going through some kind of lengthy application process which is related to education. The 9th house is also associated with import and export as well as publishing. So some of you could be working hard on getting a book published or getting something in circulation. You may be trying to expand your business, especially because for you, Libra, Jupiter rules the 3rd house, which is Sagittarius. So maybe you're looking at import on a global scale, or even just expanding further than wherever it is that you're, currently working in terms of that jurisdiction. So for others of you, this can indicate that you're having to put travel plans on pause, perhaps until February or maybe even June 2025 when Jupiter leaves the sign of Gemini. For others of you, you may actually be finally going on a trip that had been delayed, or where there's like a lot of work that's been put into this. The ninth house is also associated with the law. So you could be working to appeal some kind of decision or bring a legal case against another person or organization. On the 13th of October, Mercury in Libra in your first house. Again, you're super activated for this whole month, so make sure you watch the whole horoscope. Mercury in Libra in your first house is going to square Pluto in Capricorn in your fourth house at 29 degrees. 29 degrees is the anaretic / critical degree in astrology, and it basically brings through a moment of crisis, whether physical or internal. This could very well be, an emotionally charged day for you. So maybe you're having to make important decisions regarding property and real estate matters with Pluto in the fourth house. Maybe this is important conversations or just a challenging conversation or tension between you and a family member with Pluto in the fourth house. Or maybe you just feel that you're a little bit emotionally unsettled around the 13th of October, which, is also being impacted by this T-square that's starting to form between Mars in Cancer in your 10th house, Chiron in Aries in your 7th house, and it's, squaring the sun. Sorry, we've got the sun in Libra in your first house opposing Chiron in Aries in your 7th house, and all of this is forming a T-square with Mars in Cancer in the 10th house. So I do want to add that fortunately there's incredible support here from Jupiter. So the sun in Libra in your first house will be trining Jupiter in Gemini. All of this is happening at 21 degrees. Wow, this is a huge day, and this is all unfolding over the course of about 17 hours around the 13th, 14th of October. So there is this opportunity for you to, educate yourself further, study something that you really love, connect with an important teacher or someone whom you respect. Maybe there's something of like a spiritual advisor or a religious figure. On a different note, this is indicative of making important travel plans, or maybe applying for a visa or permanent residency or even citizenship. This can also indicate that a legal matter that you're currently involved in could be turned in your favor, or you may eventually have the opportunity to get this to go in your favor, right? But with this T-square, this can indicate that there may just be some kind of, let's say, inner conflict when it comes to what should I be doing with my career, what about my relationship status, my work status, and maybe decisions that you want to make that are for your best and highest good, unfortunately result in you having to let another person down, or, walk out of a relationship or a contract or some kind of obligation that you have to another person. So some of you may decide that you want to resign from your job, and maybe you were going to, let's say, take on a new responsibility at work or this new job, and you're like, no, I have to let this go, but it's for me, and this is because I know I need to move in a different direction. Okay, so on the 17th of October, we're going to have a full moon in Aries, and this is going to be taking place at 24 degrees in your 7th house. It's also conjunct Chiron. It's making a square to Pluto in Capricorn, but it's supported once again by a sextile to Jupiter in Gemini. So full moons are about something reaching completion, something, coming to a close, or, an important conclusion being reached. So the 7th house is about partnerships, relationships, agreements, and so on and so forth. So this can indicate the end of a contract. Again, this is around the 17th of October, maybe plus or minus a couple of weeks. So perhaps the end of a contract, the breaking of an obligation or promise, the end of an agreement. Maybe you just no longer require someone's services, and you're just having to say to this person, I can't pay you for this anymore, or I don't want to proceed with this relationship anymore. It could be the walking away or the close or end of a business partnership or collaboration that you do with another person. It could be the end of a romantic relationship for some of you. And ultimately, though, there's so much support from the sextile to Jupiter and Gemini. So I don't want you guys to listen to this being, worried or sad. Do you know what? It feels like whatever's coming to a close in your life that involves another person, maybe it's impacting the other person more than you. And that could even be to the point where you're like, I should be feeling like worse about this, but actually I just feel excited about this new opportunity or about, the end of this chapter in my life. On the 17th/18th of October, Venus, your ruling sign, is going to enter the sign of Sagittarius. So it's going to be transiting your third house. Excuse me, guys. Venus is going to be transiting your third house for about 3 weeks. So that's in Sagittarius. This is your ruling planet. Wherever Venus goes, whatever she's doing, this is you. This is where you put your attention and your energy and effort. And Venus will bring peace, harmony, balance, or at the very least improve whatever that house rules over. So the Venus in the third house can indicate an improved relationship with friends, siblings, extended relatives, neighbors, clients or co-workers, more opportunities to socialize, especially with those aforementioned individuals or maybe even in a small group setting, making new friends, agreeing to something on a contract, so something's going right with the contract that you're wanting to sign, a compromise being achieved, a win-win outcome occurring with you and another person, maybe spending money on third house things, books, short-term education courses, short-term travel opportunities, maybe spending money on vehicles or to apply for some kind of qualification or certification. And the third house is also related to sales and business. So this can indicate success in sales and success in business. So Libra, that's all I have for you for October 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And now I'm going to move on to Scorpio. Welcome Scorpio, Sun, Moon and Risings to your October 2024 horoscope. The month starts off with a bang, and that is the new moon solar eclipse in Libra. This is occurring at 10 degrees and it is exactly conjunct Lilith, also at 10 degrees. Mercury will be at 11 degrees. And all of this will be squaring Mars, which is your chart ruler. So Mars will be in Cancer squaring this eclipse, whereas the eclipse itself will be occurring in your 12th house. So when we have eclipses in the 12th house, they may not manifest on a physical level for us. A lot of this stuff can be happening internally. It can be a very emotional time, or we're working on something creative behind the scenes. Sometimes it can even just be like having a spiritual epiphany or a realization. And ultimately, new moon eclipses are about a new chapter taking place, something, new seeds are being planted somewhere in our lives. So the 12th house is related very much to creativity. So you could be starting up a new creative project. Maybe this is writing poetry. Maybe this is something artistic. Maybe this is related to music, acting, photography, filmography. These are all things that the 12th house rules over. The 12th house also rules over yoga and meditation. So you may be committing to a yoga or meditation practice, or maybe even an education course. So maybe like a yoga course, which is what I've been doing the last few weeks and loving it. Can recommend. Now, because this new moon solar eclipse is with the South Node, it's bringing something back from the past. We have an awareness of this, or it's an opportunity that we didn't take previously that's now, available for us to move forward with. So for many of you, these creative projects of which I'm speaking, or, moving in this creative direction is probably something that you've already thought about. You already had that idea. You scribbled it down in a notebook somewhere and you're like, oh, maybe I should finally do that thing. On a different note, the 12th house is related to our intuition, our intuitive and psychic abilities. So a new moon solar eclipse here can be the awakening of that, which can feel really, I mean, you guys are Scorpio, so you're kind of used to this thing, but it can be quite jarring in a way because this new moon eclipse is conjunct Lilith. There's maybe something forbidden or taboo about whatever it is that is starting in your life. For an example, maybe you are looking at honing and developing your psychic mediumship skills, and this is something that's like, you know, woo-woo and taboo and whatnot. Or perhaps the creative project that you're working on is covering a salacious topic or a taboo topic that, you know, is maybe going to garner a lot of, let's say, contentious attention, but you just feel really passionate about that. On a different note, maybe you're just reconnecting to your own intuition and essence and sense of divinity. This can indicate that you're spending time in retreat and isolation by yourself. I will say that with the conjunction to Lilith and Mercury and squaring Mars, there can be repressed memories that come up for you to basically navigate through, or perhaps old baggage, for want of a better term, or emotional chapters or episodes, or I dare say traumatic experiences that you thought you had, let's say, healed from or overcome. And that's not to take away from that, but maybe there's a bit of a trigger and it just flares up for a moment around the eclipse. But ultimately, there's a really positive opportunity for you here to overcome self-sabotaging behaviors and to really identify maladaptive coping mechanisms and, you know, put some healthier lifestyle choices in place, I mean to say. On the 9th of October, Jupiter will station retrograde in Gemini at 21 degrees in your 8th house. The 8th house is the Scorpio house in astrology anyway, so you're already very attuned to this kind of energy, which means that transits to the 8th house are probably easier for you to handle as a Scorpio rather than the other signs. I digress. Jupiter being retrograde here indicates that over the next 5 months, while it's retrograde until early February, you may be doing some very deep healing work and going through an enormously transformative period of your life. So maybe you are investing in the services of an energy worker, a healer, a certain healing modality, maybe working with a therapist or a psychologist. Perhaps you're just doing your own deep research and getting more thoroughly acquainted with esoteric and occult topics like astrology, tarot, and, you know, anything that comes under the umbrella of occultism and esotericism. On a different note, the 8th house is related to mutual resources, wills, taxes, alimony, custody arrangements, and so on and so forth. And Jupiter rules over the law and lawyers, so perhaps there is some kind of legal aspect that's coming through here. So maybe you're working with a lawyer, maybe you're drawing up a will, maybe you're contesting something in a will. On a different note, you may be trying to renegotiate custody arrangements or alimony money, or just, you know, working hard to really fine-tune your investment portfolio, whether that's your own investment portfolio, yours and your significant others. Lastly, with this one, the 8th house is related to sex and intimacy, and Jupiter is about growth, expansion, and knowledge. So Jupiter retrograde here can indicate that you are wanting to really learn more about yourself when it comes to sex and intimacy, or you and your partner could be doing some deep work and healing around these topics. Now, on the 13th of October, Mercury in Libra in your 12th house is going to square Pluto in Capricorn in your 3rd house at 29 degrees. Pluto is, of course, one of your ruling planets, the other being Mars. So 29 degrees is the anaretic degree / the critical degree in astrology. So basically, whenever a planet gets to 29 degrees, and right now we have obviously Pluto at 29, some kind of crisis can come up. And with the square to Mercury, maybe this is just fleeting, all right? But it's about overcoming self-limiting beliefs and certainly being challenged when it comes to overcoming perhaps like negative thoughts or intrusive thoughts, or just the whole mindset of seeing the glass half empty and now you're trying to see the glass half full. On a different note, this can indicate discovering some kind of secret about a friend, sibling, a neighbor, or a relative, or it could work the other way where someone is bringing something up with you and you find this to be deeply personal, and you're like, I can't believe that this person is asking me about this part of my life or asking me these questions. And so maybe there's a point of uncomfortability here. On the 13th/14th of October, we're going to see a T-square start to unfold with Mars in Cancer in your 9th house, and the Sun in Libra in your 12th house, and Chiron in Aries in your 6th house. So this is all at 21 degrees. And fortunately though, we're also going to have this Jupiter in Gemini in your 8th house trining the Sun in Libra. Okay, and all of this is happening at 21 degrees, which means that it involves Sagittarian themes, right? Our belief systems, our moral code, religion, spirituality, travel, education, vision for one's future, or perhaps even legal matters as well. Ultimately though, the trine between the Sun in Libra and Jupiter in Gemini trumps whatever challenges are coming up with the T-square. That's not to say that you won't feel it. You will feel it, especially because Mars is your ruling planet. So really there's an opportunity here for you to heal some very, very deep wounds, some like core, this is, you know, what I've been raised with. Maybe this is from past life energy because of that 12th, 8th house activation. And maybe you're having a very mystical experience around this time, and you're able to overcome fears and insecurities, perhaps even addictions and certain hang-ups that you have. But, you know, the challenge lies in your belief system with Mars in Cancer in your 9th house, your everyday habits, maybe these are vices, maybe these are habits that you just want to overcome, and 12th house energy, victim mindset, self-sabotaging behavior, maladaptive coping mechanisms, and so on and so forth. But again, so much opportunity for breakthrough for you Scorpios. So you may have to let go of self-righteousness, thinking that, you know, you absolutely are right about this, and there's just going to be like challenging information that really makes you think hard about what your core beliefs are and what your morals are, and so on and so forth. Okay, so Scorpio, on the 17th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries at 24 degrees in your 5th house, conjunct Chiron at 21 degrees, square Pluto in Capricorn, your chart ruler, and also sextile Jupiter in Gemini. So Jupiter's coming in to sextile and provide blessings and healing and, you know, opportunity for growth and expansion. So the 5th house rules over children, it rules over creative projects, owning your own business, your love life, romantic life, and your hobbies and passions. And full moons are about the ending of a chapter, something reaching a conclusion or reaching a peak. And because 24 degrees is a Piscean degree, this is about letting go of something or surrendering something, just accepting something the way that it is. So some of you, with respect to children, first of all, you may be getting pregnant, some of you, or finding out that you're expecting a child. For others of you, this is just accepting that your child has made a certain decision, right? Maybe it's their romantic partner, maybe it's their career choices, their friend choices, what they want to study, where they want to travel, and you're realizing that it's not worth the arguments. I would rather protect the relationship that we have than continue to try to impose my will or my beliefs on them. So it's just like a hands off the wheel, fine, if that's what you want to do, I love you, I support you moment. For others of you, maybe it's not about your input in your child's life. Maybe they are just accepting something about themselves, or they could be going through a bit of a spiritual awakening, especially if they're a bit older. On a romantic level, some of you may decide to call it quits with, the dating scene. Maybe you're deciding to just put that on pause or go celibate or just take a bit of a break. Others of you may be deciding to end a romantic relationship. If that's the case, to me, this isn't something where it's like, you're married or you have kids and property. It's something that's a little newer, fresher, or maybe even a bit more casual. For others of you, maybe this is just accepting your differences with your significant other and letting go of an argument or something that has been like a bone of contention in your relationship. Some of you may be closing out a business, closing down your business, deactivating it, or maybe something is ready for release. Launching something, especially if it's creative or spiritual in nature. And this can certainly indicate the conclusion of a creative project that you've been working on, maybe something artistic, maybe something to do with creative writing, and so on and so forth. From the 17th to the 18th of October, and this is the last transit for the month Scorpio, Venus is going to leave the sign of Scorpio and it's going to be entering Sagittarius in your second house, and it'll be there for about 3 weeks. Venus is very at home in the second house because the second house is the Taurus house, which is ruled by Venus. So Venus likes to be here. Wherever Venus goes, it will bring harmony, peace, balance, or improvement to that house. It can also indicate where we're spending money. So first of all, the second house is related to finances and resources, as well as our personal values and the five senses. So for some of you Scorpios, this can indicate that you're maybe, let's say, investing money in cooking, something to do with farming, planting, seed, like actual seeds for a garden or a vegetable patch. You may be investing in the help of a financial advisor. The second house is also related to property, so you may be procuring some resources or buying some things for your home, so for decorating your home. And when Venus goes through the second house, this actually is a time where we can be spending a lot of money. So there may be a lot of expenses that come up, but it's like things that you like to spend money on: eating, going out, maybe not that you all have to enjoy these things, but maybe investing in a new wardrobe, jewelry, buying gifts for yourself, gifts for someone else, getting a massage, getting your hair done, makeup done. These are all second housey, Venusian type things. And certainly this is a time where you can be earning more money, whether that's an actual increase in your salary or just for this 3-week period, you're seeing a bit of a boost in your finances and resources. So Scorpio, thank you so much for sticking around to watch your horoscope. If you enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, I will see you. I'll be moving on to Sagittarius next. But before I do, thank you so much, Cailin, in the chat for your generous donation. It's very, very much appreciated. Thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful month. Well, of course, I hope everyone has a wonderful month. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the sign of Sagittarius. But let me just put up just want to try and stick to a bit of a time frame. About 15 minutes per sign, but that kind of goes out the window sometimes. So Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings, welcome to your October 2024 horoscope. So the month starts off with a new moon solar eclipse occurring in your 11th house, and this will be at 10 degrees. It's going to be exactly conjunct Lilith. It's going to be conjunct Mercury at 11 degrees, and this will be squaring Mars in Cancer. Okay, so a new moon eclipse is like a supercharged new moon. It's like a new moon on steroids. So it's a really noticeable new chapter or new beginning that is taking place somewhere in our lives. In terms of how it plays out, you really want to have a look at what the house rules over. So for you Sagittarians, the 11th house is about your long-term goals and dreams, a passive or residual form of income like dividends, rents, royalties. The 11th house can also be related to investors, so someone investing their money or resources in you. The 11th house is related to awards, rewards, accolades, as well as things like government grants, receiving subsidiaries, scholarships, and even PhDs as well. And of course, it would be remiss of me not to mention that the 11th house is related to our community and our wider network. Now, because this new moon eclipse is with the South Node, it's bringing something back from the past. Okay, so maybe you were already aware of this opportunity was on the table once before, you had this idea, but you were never able to execute it, or when you did execute it, it wasn't successful. But now things are different, right? So the new moon eclipse in your 11th house can indicate that you're planting the seeds for this new long-term goal or dream. You are crystal clear on what you need to do to increase your passive or residual form of income, or generate a residual form of income. The 11th house is also related to things like the pension and superannuation. So maybe you're making some important decisions regarding what to do to set yourself up for retirement. Some of you may be applying to be accepted into a PhD program, or perhaps you're getting the green light around the eclipse. Again, this is the 2nd, 3rd of October, depending where you live in the world, plus or minus about a month. Although it may take like a few months or even up to a year for this to eventuate and unfold, but it'll be different for everybody. Those are not cut and dry, copy-paste timeframes. So some of you may be applying for a grant, applying for a scholarship. You may be joining a new community or forming a new community. So maybe you're at the helm of this community and you're wanting to, bring a certain group of people together, or within your existing community, you are going to be highly involved with a community project. Okay, so the 11th house is very much related to activism and human rights. So same deal. Maybe you're getting involved in something related to a human rights movement or an active, protesting or something like this. And if I didn't mention it already, you could be trying to raise money or look at setting something up on a Kickstarter program or something of a similar nature. Okay, so this eclipse is sextiling you, so it's making a very positive aspect to you, which we like to see. And in saying that, it is conjunct Lilith, and Lilith is all about forbidden topics, taboo topics, and it's also related to things that we've kept quiet about, but that we can become quite passionate about or enraged about, or even there could be like a forbidden element here. So I have to say, maybe this is like love or a romance starting with someone who's like a friend of yours or in your wider network, and maybe this is going to be a little bit contentious in that community, or just maybe it's perceived that way. That's just as an aside. Okay, so on the 9th of October, Jupiter, which is your ruling planet, is going to station retrograde in Gemini in your 7th house. Wherever Jupiter goes, whatever sign it enters, whether it's direct, whether it's retrograde, whatever aspects it makes, this is you. This is your ruling planet. It has a very tangible effect on you, especially if you are a Sagittarius rising. Because if you're a Sag sun or moon, then and your ascendant is something different, then the planet that rules you will, it won't be Jupiter, but it's still worth noting. Okay, so Jupiter retrograde in the 7th house will involve a business partner, a client, your romantic partner, your spouse, someone you're in a relationship with, or a contract, a legal agreement, an obligation, or a promise that you've made to another person or that a person has made to you. So the retrograde here can indicate quite a few things, maybe working on a business proposal. Okay, so the retrograde is what has you working hard and digging deep into perhaps legalities, or just doing the requisite research necessary. Some of you may be working on your marriage, working with your business partner on an important project, or business matter. This can see you trying to close out a deal with a client, and this could be a several month process. Jupiter will be retrograde until early February in 2025. So this is how long we're looking at in terms of a time frame. Maybe you're trying to appeal a legal decision, or you are, trying to bring a case against another person, but before you're ready to do that, you need to do the preliminary stuff with a solicitor or someone who can offer you legal advice. I just want to note that throughout this horoscope, I have mentioned similar things, and that's because the 9th house and the 7th house are both legal houses in astrology, even the 6th house as well. So sometimes there'll be overlap in what I'm saying. I digress. So you may be trying to renegotiate some kind of contract. Also, this could be related to property and real estate. The Jupiter rules over your 4th house, which is Pisces. So maybe you're trying to engage the services of a builder. Maybe you're looking at relocating, and maybe this is an interstate relocation or an international relocation. Maybe you just want to expand your property. And because Jupiter is here, there's definitely a legal element that's involved, or some kind of, process where there's a lot of moving pieces. Gemini is like a project, and Jupiter is like, we're expanding the crap out of this. Okay. So it's like a lot of work to, get this thing off the ground, whether this is related to property, working with a business partner, going into business with another person, or maybe you and your partner are trying to figure out a visa situation, or, permanent residency, and so on and so forth. Okay, Sagittarius, so exciting times. Some of you may be getting a relationship back on track during this time. You may be, let's say, reconciling with a former partner. And, the 7th house is also your second born child. So you could be really working on the relationship that you have with your second born child. On the 13th of October, Mercury in Libra in your 11th house is going to square Pluto in Capricorn in your 2nd house at 29 degrees. 29 degrees is the anaretic degree. It's the critical degree. It's the degree where, things just can become quite challenging. It can be a moment of conflict or tension. It's just like a one moment transit. You don't have to focus on it too much, but I felt that it was worth mentioning because this is the last time in this lifetime that we're going to have the square between Mercury and Pluto in these signs, because Pluto is going to be in Aquarius very soon, in November. I digress. So the 11th house and the 2nd house is that moment of tension and friction, okay? So this can indicate that there's maybe a challenging situation with respect to your personal resources, and maybe someone investing in you. Maybe you're wondering whether you will have the resources or the finances necessary to invest in a long-term project that you want to work on, or some kind of, business or community work that you want to do. On a different note, you could be feeling challenged by your wider network or your friendship or just societal expectations and perhaps communities that you are part of. So these can be at odds with some of your personal values, and you're just trying to navigate the path between the two. I always like to say that there is a middle path. Sometimes when it feels like there's only this option or that option, that can feel really overwhelming, especially for Sagittarians. So I encourage you to zoom out and see, is there a greater divine plan at play, or is there a middle path that I can take? On the 13th of October, 13th/14th of October, we're going to start seeing this T-square form between Mars and Cancer in your 8th house, squaring the Sun in Libra in your 11th house, and also squaring Chiron in Aries in your 5th house. In saying that, this will be heavily supported by Jupiter in Gemini. So your ruling planet trining the Sun in Libra. So this is all happening at 21 degrees, which is the Sagittarius degree. So with the 7th house, 11th house trine, there's this incredible opportunity here for you to go into business with another person, to collaborate with another person. Maybe you and your significant other are starting a business, or you're getting in alignment when it comes to your long-term goals and dreams for the future. Maybe you're looking at how the two of you can increase your passive or residual income somehow. And the 11th house is also related to your wider network and community. So maybe you and your significant other are just looking at expanding your community, making new friends, starting your own community somehow, or just being more involved. It doesn't have to be you and a significant other though. Of course, many of you Sagittarians are not with anyone at the moment. So another way that this can play out is going into business with a friend, becoming a lot closer friends with someone who's in your wider network, or someone that you're friends with now introduces you to a wider, helps you to expand your community and expand your network somehow. And for many of you, this can indicate that you're signing important contracts or paperwork that are related to a big project that you have, a long-term goal or dream of yours. But let's talk about the T-square, right? So this involves the 8th house, the 11th house, and the 5th house. Ultimately, to me, this looks like it involves something creative that you want to do, something that involves a hobby or a passion of yours, but maybe this is about whether or not you have the mutual resources necessary to be able to invest in this. Again, I actually think that this is indicative of love and romance with a friend for some of you Sagittarians. And yeah, maybe it's just like, what are people going to think? What are they going to say? Maybe you're making a relationship public, or you're taking a relationship to the next level, and there's just a little bit of like fear about, is there going to be pushback here? Even if it's not fear, I think most Sagittarians hate to admit if they're afraid, or they're just like, I don't have any fears. That's fine. Maybe they're just doubts. Okay, so maybe some of you are wanting to start your own business, or try your hand at something creative, or that involves taking a bit of a risk or putting yourself out there. And it's just like, can I do this? Do I have what it takes? And so there's that push and pull energy. So please watch out for whatever's happening around the 13th, 14th of October, plus or minus a couple of days. Report back in the comments if you feel like it. Okay, Sagittarius, on the 17th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries at 24 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 5th house. So it's trining you. Yay. It's conjunct Chiron and square Pluto. Not yay. But it's sextiling Jupiter and Gemini. Yay again. Okay, so what does this mean? A full moon is all about the end of a chapter, the end of a cycle, something reaching a conclusion, or reaching a peak or completion. All right, so the 5th house is trining you. So this is going to be helpful, beneficial energy for you, and it involves 5th house themes. Maybe the completion of a creative project, the launch of a creative project. Maybe you're finishing a website, finishing some sort of creative writing, and now it's ready to release out into the world. Maybe launching a business, or you already have your own business, and this is maybe like a new product or a new service, or perhaps you're like reinventing yourself and taking it in a bit more of a artistic, bohemian, creative direction. I say this because the full moon's at 24 degrees, which is the Piscean degree. On a different note, this can indicate that you may be overcoming some kind of conflict or issue that you have with your child or one of your children, but because of the conjunction to Chiron and the square to Pluto, it's not like just sitting down and discussing it nicely and, oh cool, like we're over this now. There may be a bit of tension, there may be a disagreement, or someone says something that's a little bit below the belt, but ultimately there's enormous opportunity for healing and growth within your relationship with your child. On a different note, the full moon in your 5th house can indicate finding out that you're pregnant, maybe announcing it or giving birth around this time. And because the 5th house rules over love and romance, for some of you, this could be indicative of you calling it quits in a relationship, going off the dating scene for a while, or you and your significant other could be overcoming some kind of challenge that's been existing between the two of you in your relationship. So lastly for the month, Sagittarius, we're ending on a massive high. Venus is going to enter the sign of Sagittarius. It's going to transit your first house. So this will take place around the 17th or 18th of October, depending where you live in the world. And this will be for about 3 weeks. So when Venus enters our sign, we can feel more attractive. We can find that, others are receiving us well. We're more charming. Maybe you're, receiving compliments on your appearance or your character. Maybe you're just being told that, you're glowing, or like, what are you eating? What are you doing? Like, you're looking really well, looking really healthy. There can be a lot of romantic attention that's on you around this time. You can be flirting with someone. Like whoever they are, maybe you're just like in a flirty headspace around this 3-week period. You could develop a crush on someone during this period of time, or maybe someone is actually confessing to you that they have feelings for you. And in terms of whom this would be, well, Venus rules over the 11th house. So again, we have this whole question of like, is it a friend? But Venus for you, Sagittarius, also rules over your 6th house. So maybe it's someone in the workplace. Okay, on a different note altogether, you can just be feeling more creative. Maybe you want to invest in your appearance, different haircut, different wardrobe, and certainly you could be making new friends, or your existing friendships could be bringing you much pleasure and joy. So Sagittarius, that's all I have for you for October 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And now let's move on to Capricorn. But first, tea time. Welcome Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Risings to your October 2024 horoscope. You are a cardinal sign, which means like the other cardinal signs, you're more affected by the astrology of October than the non-cardinal signs. So the month starts off with the new moon solar eclipse in Libra. This is at 10 degrees and it's in your 10th house. So it'll be on the 2nd or 3rd of October, depending where you live in the world. The new moon solar eclipse is conjunct Lilith exactly. And it's also conjunct Mercury at 11 degrees, and it will square Mars in Cancer in your 7th house. So a new moon in the 10th house is always an exciting time. A new moon solar eclipse in the 10th house, even more so, because new moon eclipses, solar eclipses are new moons that are supercharged. They're new moons that are on steroids, and they can bring about life-changing events, especially if it's in the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, or the 10th house. So the 10th house relates to your public status, your public profile, as well as your career, and it rules over your worldly responsibilities, okay? Your responsibilities and obligations of the highest order. So for some of you, that's, the work that you do, the service that you do in the workplace. For others of you, this could be your responsibility to your children or to your grandchildren. In any case, a new moon solar eclipse that involves the South Node, so the South Node is in Libra, is indicative of a new chapter that's starting, but you have awareness of what it is. The South Node is bringing something back from the past, maybe something you already tried, something you've already experienced, something you push the pause button on, something you've seen coming for the last few months, perhaps since July last year when the South Node first entered Libra. In terms of how this can play out, it's a change to your public status. So a status change could be marital status, relationship status, property status, whether that's ownership or rental properties, business partnerships, contracts, and employment status. So depending on how this plays out for you personally, it can impact one or more of those areas. This is indicative of a new development, okay? So maybe your relationship hasn't gone to this level before. You haven't had this kind of job before. Maybe you're getting promoted. Maybe you're taking on more responsibility. With the South Node, you could have to let go of something in order to enact this change or welcome this new status into your life. You may be purchasing a property. You may be selling your property, you may be signing onto a lease, or maybe someone is signing onto your lease, because remember, this new moon eclipse is with Libra. So this involves a contract and or another person. So some of you may be entering into an exclusive relationship. You may be getting engaged, you may be getting married. Some of you may be getting separated or getting divorced. So again, we're seeing like these big headline changes to something to do with your existing status in a public way. Some of you may just be receiving more like another level of qualification. So you're adding something to your resume, adding something to your repertoire. Some of you may be getting pregnant around this time because it's, you know, squaring you. Maybe you're announcing this, okay? Or you could be giving birth around this time. Again, it is squaring you, so it's worth noting. Now, I do want to focus on Lilith and Mercury for a moment. So the conjunction to Lilith, which is exact, I might add, indicates that there could be something contentious or forbidden or a little bit taboo about whatever is happening in your life. So maybe it's entering into an industry where, you know, there's a bit of pushback from other people and they're like, oh, you know, you sure you want to be doing this job or entering into this industry? Maybe you're taking some much needed time off from work and it's receiving and maybe you're receiving a response from people who are like, oh, but you know, you're at the height of your career, or we need you here. Or maybe you're doing this for you and your significant other's like, oh, but you know, we need the money. So you could be making a decision about your work that impacts other people to the point where they're surprised or shocked or even feel the need to say something to you. Maybe the change to your relationship status, if that's happening in your life, is a shock to other people. Maybe you're, you know, with the love of your life and you announce this and people are just like, you know, I didn't see you being with someone, you know, of this nature, or I didn't see this coming. Or on a different note, this could just indicate that there is something you finally feel confident enough to communicate about in a public way. You know, and again, this could be a taboo topic or a forbidden topic, and most people wouldn't openly talk about this. And you're like, no, this is part of my journey. This is part of my story. This is part of a tightly held belief that I have. Moving along. On the 9th of October, Jupiter is going to station retrograde in the sign of Gemini at 21 degrees in your 6th house. So the 6th house rules over work, so our day-to-day work life, our health, our daily habits, as well as pets, debts, loans, and conflictual situations, and it's also related to legal matters. So Jupiter being retrograde for 5 months until early February 2025 can indicate that you're working hardcore on this area of your life. So some of you will go on a deep dive health journey over the next 5 months. Others of you will be working really hard on a project. Some of you may be looking at bringing employees on board in your work, or you could be trying to navigate a department change, and maybe this is interstate, so you know, working in another office interstate or possibly even overseas. And for some of you, this could look like you are, you know, trying to make your property or your home appropriate in order to welcome some beautiful pets into your life. And certainly Jupiter retrograde in the 6th house can indicate that this is a time for you to work very hard on any area of your life that is a challenge, that requires consistent work, that requires you know, learning and expanding your existing level of knowledge. So it can be a time. When I had Jupiter in my 6th house, I think that was like the year after I started my own business, and I was just super, super busy at work. So it can definitely be a very productive time at work, but a very busy time in your day-to-day life for you. On the 13th of October, Mercury in Libra in your 10th house will square Pluto in Capricorn in your 1st house. So this will be occurring at 29 degrees. 29 degrees is the anaretic degree in astrology. It's the critical degree, and you know, critical meaning it can bring up some kind of crisis to the forefront, or perhaps this is I'll say an internal crisis, but this could be a bit of a point of tension for you, where you want to transform your life, you want to transform your appearance, how you're seen, how you're presenting, what you do for work, the trajectory of your life path. But maybe this feels mentally overwhelming. You could find that you need to make important decisions that are surprising or shocking, that involve mutual resources, or that require someone else's input, hence Pluto. Okay, or maybe someone is trying to talk you out of a decision, or perhaps even, like, I dare say, emotionally manipulate you into making a different decision. And again, this could be related to employment status, relationship, marital status, property status, and so on and so forth. So you may find that you just have to stand up to a parent, grandparent, authority figure, government, your boss, someone who's trying to exert their authority and will over you. And you're like, no, this is what I need to do. On the 13th/14th of October, we will start to see a T-square unfold between Mars in Cancer in your 7th house, the Sun in Libra in your 10th house, and Chiron in Aries in your 4th house, all at 21 degrees. But don't worry, it's being supported by Jupiter in Gemini in your 6th house, trining the Sun in Libra. Okay, so, the headline for this is big opportunity for growth and expansion that is very much related to your work life, your health, and your daily habits, and really your lifestyle, because of this 6th house, 10th house, trine between the Sun and Gemini. So in saying that, the T-square once again indicates like just conflicting pressures. Maybe this is related to your significant other and their their family expectations of you, or their expectations of you in the home life or in a domestic sense. Maybe this is, your parents not really, approving of going into business with another person, or you wanting to sign contracts with another person. Maybe you're wanting to make certain career moves or health choices that your partner or your family are not super duper on board with, or perhaps you're just feeling that push and pull between your responsibilities out in the world versus your responsibilities to your family, okay, or that you have around the house, that you have to do with your property and living circumstances. On the 17th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries at 24 degrees in your 4th house. It's conjunct Chiron at 21 degrees. It's squaring Pluto in Capricorn in your 1st house, but it is sextiling Jupiter in Gemini. Okay, and that'll be in your 6th house. So a full moon is representative of a situation reaching its peak, reaching some sort of climax, coming to a close. And ultimately, the 4th house is related to family, property, living circumstances, as well as our emotional security, our emotional health and well-being. So 24 degrees is a Piscean degree. And Pisces is all about surrendering, letting go, healing, forgiveness, unconditional love, as well as our intuition. So a full moon here in the 4th house can indicate that you're overcoming a difficult chapter with a family member, maybe with, a parent or someone elderly in your family, or this could be your children, a dependent, someone that you have caregiving needs towards, whether they're immediate family or not, doesn't matter. Others of you can be looking at selling your home, relocating your home, or you could be accepting help, charity, generosity, a la the 24th degree, which is a Piscean degree. So maybe someone is allowing you to live in their home, crash on their couch, take up the spare bedroom, or perhaps they are just generously contributing towards your living circumstances, or maybe even your family as well. Maybe you've needed to seek some outside help. I do feel that there's a humbling element here to the square in Pluto at 29 degrees, and even the conjunction to Chiron. Maybe you feel your morals are challenged at this point because 21 degrees is the Sagittarian degree. Nevertheless, it could be that you just have to make a leap of faith decision that's on behalf of your family, or that involves your family. Maybe that's like, look, I've been betrayed by them before, or I didn't think I would try to reestablish connections with this family member or with this person, but I'm going to give it a go. On a different note, and this is more internal, right? You could just be healing something on a really deep level. So overcoming some kind of deep-seated, let's say wounds, or perhaps even traumatic experiences, or just making peace with whatever upbringing you had or whatever family situation you had, but it just requires this surrendering. I do think it'll be an emotional time. Okay, again, this is the 17th of October, plus or minus a couple of weeks, but you're being blessed by Jupiter in Gemini. So you can heal this relationship. You can, move beyond this current set of challenges that you've been experiencing, or even just this internal conflict. On the 17th of October, actually the 17th or 18th, depending where you live in the world, Venus is going to enter the sign of Sagittarius. So it's going to be transiting your 12th house for approximately 3 weeks. Wherever Venus goes, this is where we're spending money. Wherever Venus goes, this is where we can experience peace, joy, harmony, and so on and so forth. And wherever Venus goes, this is where we can enjoy ourselves. Okay, so Venus through the 12th house, enjoying or deriving benefit from meditation, from yoga, feeling more creative, and this creative energy could be put towards music. It could be put towards poetry, creative writing, filmography, photography, acting. All of these things are governed by the 12th house. This can indicate having a very spiritual and mystical experience, which brings you a lot of peace, and that, allows you to understand and intuit signs and synchronicities from the universe. On a different note, Venus through the 12th house can indicate spending a fair bit of money, or you are maybe receiving financial support, or support in the way of resources from another person. At the end of the day, this can be a very healing time for you, and you could also be connecting on a deeper level to your own intuition and trusting that more. And so Capricorn, that's all I have for you for October 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And now I'll just be moving on to Aquarius in a moment. Let's see. Oh, I'm making excellent time. This is like an hour shorter than how long I normally go for. Okay. One moment, Aquarius. Welcome, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings, to your October 2024 horoscope. So, first and foremost, we're starting off with the new moon solar eclipse in Libra. So this will be occurring on the 2nd or 3rd of October, depending where you live in the world, and this will be taking place in your 9th house at 10 degrees. This eclipse will be conjunct Lilith, exactly at 10 degrees. It'll also be conjunct Mercury at 11 degrees Libra, and it will all be squaring Mars in Cancer, okay, at 15 degrees. So a new moon eclipse is like a supercharged new moon. So it's about new seeds being planted, a new beginning taking place in our life, or a new chapter taking place in our life. And it can often bring about fated events, or events that happen quite quickly, quite unexpectedly, that, are somewhat out of our control. Fortunately, this eclipse is trining you, and it's in the 9th house, which is associated with optimism, joy, benevolence, good luck, and good fortune. So in terms of what the 9th house rules over, this is where we can see a new chapter taking place in our life, right? So for you guys, this can be a new travel opportunity, whether this is buying the ticket, or maybe you're even looking to relocate abroad, or perhaps simply interstate. You could be applying for a visa, you could be applying for a work opportunity abroad, or permanent residency, or citizenship, or maybe even just making changes to your passport, so getting another passport if you're eligible. On a different note, the ninth house is related to higher education. So some of you may be having the opportunity to enroll in some kind of higher education program, college, university, maybe a master's program or an honors program. This can also indicate a new teaching opportunity. So maybe you're not the student, but maybe you're teaching in a new industry or a new topic that you haven't taught before, or at a new school or university, or it's just teaching something new. I will say though that because this new moon eclipse is with the south node, it's bringing something back from the past. Like you're already aware of this, or you already had this idea, or you've had your eye on this opportunity, you've wanted to plan this or manifest this, and now around the eclipse in October, you're actually able to move forward with this opportunity. But just remember that with new moon eclipses, it's not necessarily, and even new moons, it's not about everything happening at once on the day of the eclipse. It's more like that intention is set, that seed is planted, and maybe you're coming to collect in a few months' time, or maybe even a year later. And on a different note, the ninth house rules over religion, spirituality, our world beliefs, our moral code, as well as the law, publishing, importing, exporting. So again, could be just something new happening in those areas, a new publishing contract, maybe an opportunity to work abroad. Maybe you're looking at import and export and just, expanding that out further. Some of you may be having a religious awakening, a spiritual awakening, and with the south node, again, I would say you already have some exposure to this, and perhaps it requires you to walk away from some existing path that you've been on. As an example, maybe you are Christian and you are converting to Islam or Buddhism or something like this, okay? Or perhaps you're religious and you're deciding or realizing that you're more spiritual, or you always considered yourself spiritual but not religious, and now you're, just having a total shake-up in terms of your world beliefs. As I said before, the ninth house is related to the law. So some of you may be getting married around this time. I actually got married within 2 or 3 days of an eclipse that was in my ninth house. It was in Aquarius, actually, because I'm a Gemini rising. And on a different note, this can indicate that you are having important discussions about legal topics, maybe engaging the services of a lawyer or solicitor and just looking at what your options are. All right, so there's so many different ways that this can play out, but ultimately, with the conjunction to Lilith, there is something that's a little bit like shocking about this eclipse energy. Maybe it's not shocking to you, but other people are like, whoa, I didn't think you'd get married so quickly. Or, I thought you were a devout, insert X religion. Or perhaps you've done a 180 on something that you were very, very, rigid on, or that you had very strong convictions about, maybe even like your political leanings, let's say, and now you're just coming out with different views. Or perhaps you're, enrolling in an education program and people are like, oh, I just didn't peg you for that. But with Lilith, it's like, you feel passionate about this, and maybe this is something that you've repressed for a while, or something that just kind of bursts forth. And then the conjunction to Mercury is like, I want to communicate about this. And the square to Mars is like, I'm going to take action towards this. And just know that there is a grand trine forming between Venus, Mars, and Saturn. So, at the end of the day, even if other people are surprised by your decision, there is so much emotional stability and a foundation that feels very, very strongly laid with whatever new chapter is coming through in your life. So on the 9th of October, Jupiter is going to station retrograde in Gemini at 21 degrees in your 5th house. And the 5th house is the house that rules over love, romance, children, owning your own business, creative projects, hobbies, passions, as well as Fun. So Jupiter retrograde in the 5th house can indicate that you're working on one or more of these different levels. For some of you, this can indicate that you are wanting to conceive, you're going through that process of starting a family or preparing to start a family. And, you know, Jupiter trining you is like a key time for starting a family, whether that's in the 9th house or the 5th house. So as an Aquarius, this 1 year long transit is very supportive of expanding your family further. So that's May 2024 till June 2025. I digress. For some of you, this could indicate that you are maybe having a period of a bit of like separation from your child. Maybe they're going abroad, maybe they're really knuckling down to study, or they're going to live somewhere else for a little while. You and your partner may have to do long distance for a few months up until February 2025. Or maybe it's like long distance on and off for that period while Jupiter is retrograde. Some of you could be looking at how to expand your business further, how to reinvent yourself, reinvent your business, giving it a bit of a makeover, let's say. This can also indicate a time where you're working hard on a creative project, and maybe this is creative writing. So, you know, you're working on pulling it all off during this retrograde period, or perhaps this is the editing period, or the period where, you know, the hardest work is being done. And on a different note, this can indicate that you are just spending more time on your hobbies and passions and just focusing on the things that you love and that bring you joy. On the 13th of October, Mercury in Libra in your 9th house is going to square Pluto in Capricorn in your 12th house at 29 degrees. So 29 degrees is the critical degree. It is the anaretic degree in astrology. It can bring up a moment of conflict, tension, crisis. So this can indicate your faith being challenged. Maybe it's being challenged by another person. Just, you know, following on from what I was saying before. Or maybe not. Maybe this is like all kind of sort of tying into the solar eclipse, especially because Mercury is in Libra and the eclipse was in Libra. So it's like, what do I believe in? My belief system is being challenged, and maybe certain fears or insecurities could be sneaking up on you around this time. And, you know, you may be at risk of letting them influence important decisions regarding education, travel, your world beliefs, religious, spiritual beliefs, and your vision for your future. Be mindful that someone whom you respect, so Mercury in the 9th house, and admire, you know, they could be trying to convince you to take a different path. And for some of you, maybe they're like fully just trying to emotionally manipulate you. For others of you, they could be well-meaning. I would say that's more the case with Mercury in Libra, but they're not, maybe they're projecting onto you and they're not realizing that, like, you know what's best for you and you don't really need to be talked out of something that you've already decided upon. Nevertheless, let's keep moving. On the 13th/14th of October, we're going to see a T-square unfold between Mars in Cancer in your 6th house, the Sun in Libra in your 9th house, and Chiron in Aries in your 3rd house. But we're also going to have the Sun in Libra in the 9th trine Jupiter in Gemini in the 5th. And all of this is taking place at 21 degrees, which is world beliefs, religious, political, spiritual, moral code, travel, education, and, you know, what we want to do with our future. So these themes keep coming up for you guys. Ultimately here, with the trine between the 9th house and the 5th house, there's a huge opportunity for you when it comes to growth, expansion, committing to travel plans, committing to higher education plans, learning about something that really lights you up from the inside out, expanding when it comes to your business, if I didn't say that already, discovering and following, you know, your higher purpose, your life path, your dharma. And perhaps some of you will be stepping into the role of teacher somehow. So again, there's this huge growth and expansion opportunity, but it is precipitated by this tense T-square with Mars, the Sun, and Chiron. And, you know, with the 6th, the 9th, and the 3rd house being triggered, it's like possibly some cautions of warning from friends, from siblings, from co-workers, or perhaps, you know, there's just doubts about how this is going to factor into your day-to-day life or your existing work commitments, and so on and so forth. So it just depends how it's going to play out for you guys. But ultimately here, the trine between the 5th house and the 9th house is super exciting. And to me, it just shows this huge potential for following a path that brings you joy, that brings you happiness, despite what other people have to say about it. On the 17th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries at 24 degrees in your 3rd house, and it will be conjunct Chiron at 21 degrees. It will also be squaring Pluto in Capricorn and sextiling Jupiter in Gemini once more. So full moons indicate the ending of a chapter taking place, the end of a conflictual situation, or something reaching a conclusion or reaching its peak. But because of the conjunction to Chiron, it's like this has been painful. This is something that's maybe been a challenge, and the square to Pluto, you know, it can bring up certain fears and insecurities. But ultimately here, with the sextile to Jupiter, there is healing possible. So this can indicate the end of a conflict with a friend, a sibling, an extended relative, a neighbor, or perhaps a co-worker, the end of a project, the completion of a project, the launch of a business, maybe the closing down of a business, or just walking away from a project even if it was left undone. Why? It's because 24 degrees is the Pisces degree, which is about surrendering and letting go. So it may be that you are either experiencing deep healing taking place with those aforementioned individuals, or perhaps you're ending a relationship with one of them. On a different note, this can indicate that you are feeling very creative when it comes to writing, because the 3rd house is to do with writing. So maybe you're completing some kind of communications piece, or some of you could be completing an education course, receiving your certification or some kind of license or diploma. Again, because it's 24 degrees, you may be cutting this short and just deciding this isn't for me, I don't want to complete this course, or maybe you're having to put it on pause temporarily. If that is the case, whatever is, let's say, ending, it could be quite temporary, and you may see a revival of this, whether it's like a contract, something you're learning, or even a relationship with a friend or sibling or relative. And maybe with the Mercury retrograde in Aries and the Venus retrograde in Aries and the eclipse in Aries in March next year or April next year, maybe this stuff will be brought back up for a second look in. On the 17th/18th of October, Venus is going to enter the sign of Sagittarius, and it'll be there for 3 weeks. So wherever Venus goes, this is where we may be spending money or resources. This is where we can experience an improvement in our life, maybe peace, harmony, an improvement in relationships there. And also we can just enjoy whatever that house rules over. So with Venus going through the 11th house, this can indicate that you may be expanding your social network, your wider network, enjoying time spent in a community that you are part of, or perhaps joining a new community or even forming a new community. This can indicate that you have more social opportunities, and maybe you're just having positive interactions with friends or perhaps even people online. This can indicate love or romance with a friend or someone in your wider network or someone in your community. This can indicate receiving rents, royalties, dividends, so some sort of increase to your passive or residual forms of income. The 11th house is also associated with awards, rewards, and accolades. So some of you may be receiving praise, positive feedback, or some kind of award for a job well done. The 11th house is also associated with grants, subsidiaries, scholarships, and payouts, lump sums of money, bonuses, even payouts from like legal matters. And for you guys, Venus rules over the 9th house, which is Libra. So yes, this could be a financial, let's say the conclusion of a legal situation which somehow benefits you financially, or perhaps you're just receiving money for one of those aforementioned things. Okay, and lastly, the 11th house is related to our long-term goals, our big goals and dreams for the future and big projects. So this can indicate having a lot of success in one or more of those areas. So Aquarius, that's all I have for you for October 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And now we're going to move on to the sign of Pisces. Lucky last Pisces. Okay. Welcome Pisces, Sun, Moon and Risings to your October 2024 horoscope. On the 2nd/3rd of October, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon solar eclipse in Libra at 10 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 8th house. Now, this new moon eclipse will be conjunct Lilith exactly at 10 degrees. It'll also be conjunct Mercury at 11 degrees, and it will be squaring Mars in Cancer at 15 degrees in your 5th house. But let's discuss, what is a new moon? What is a new moon eclipse actually? A new moon eclipse is like a new moon but on steroids. So it's supercharged, it's a really highly charged, loaded energy, and it's centered around a new chapter starting in your life, a new beginning starting in your life. But because this new moon solar eclipse contains the South Node in Libra, the South Node here is bringing something back from the past. It's bringing something to our attention or to the forefront that we are already acquainted with. We're already aware of this. We've seen it before, or we were, intuitively anticipating this happening, or maybe you tried to do something once upon a time and it didn't work, and now you're doing it in a new way. So in order to look at what can possibly occur for you, we need to understand what the 8th house rules over. So the 8th house rules over mutual resources, healing and transformation, fears and addictions. Yes, that's also a bit of overlap with the 12th house. The 8th house also rules over sex, fertility, as well as things like wills, taxes, debts, and anything to do with the occult, esoteric topics. And it's also the house of hidden secrets. Okay, so with the new moon solar eclipse occurring in your 8th house, this can indicate that you may be combining your resources with another person. So maybe you're going into business together, you and another person are investing in something together, or this can indicate a change that's coming through to a partnership or an agreement or an arrangement, because Libra rules over these things. So for some of you, this can indicate that you're looking at changing the name of the game when it comes to alimony money, child custody arrangements, or just the breakdown of your mutual resources with another person. For some of you, this actually can indicate that you're wanting to go your separate ways with your significant other, although it absolutely doesn't have to be that. This is a general reading, so just take it as it resonates. Some of you may be doing, or let's say starting up therapy. So this is maybe with like a psychologist or a therapist or some kind of other healing practitioner. You could be getting heavily involved in occult topics and esoteric topics. So maybe you're starting a new course, you want to learn about these things, or you want to be qualified. So perhaps you're looking at doing an astrology course, or learning the tarot or something of this nature. Now, because the 8th house rules over mutual resources, just to clarify, these can involve shares, the stock market, crypto, as well as property and real estate. So ultimately, a new moon eclipse is like a new contract or a change to an existing agreement or arrangement. So some of you, even if you already have a will drawn up, maybe you are looking at making changes to this, or if you had planned to do this months ago, maybe since around July last year, you've been thinking about it or discussing it, you're finally putting this into practice. If you've been expecting an inheritance to come through, The new moon eclipse with the south node here, square Mars, could indicate that you're maybe having to wait for the probate period to pass, or perhaps you are actually appealing a decision that you have been made aware of. And some of you will just be simply, seeking out legal advice when it comes to marriage, divorce, alimony money, child custody, etc. As I said before, the 8th house is related to fertility. So you may be looking at how you can increase your fertility and boost your fertility. Or for others of you with the 8th house ruling over sex, this can actually indicate that you are entering into a new sexual relationship with another person, or perhaps you and your partner are talking about taboo topics or forbidden topics. So maybe you're looking at experimenting in the bedroom, because this new moon eclipse is exactly conjunct Lilith, which, Lilith rules over these forbidden topics and taboo topics and themes. The conjunction to Mercury is like, let's discuss it. And then the square to Mars is like, well, let's take action on it. Okay, so just tying Lilith and Mercury into the eclipse as a whole, it can indicate that whatever is happening around the 2nd or 3rd of October, you want to keep this to yourself. You don't want to tell too many people. Maybe you are initiating certain proceedings or research and you're keeping that under wraps for now. But what's coming up for you with this eclipse could involve contracts with that conjunction to Mercury, and taking action somehow with the square to Mars. On the 9th of October, Jupiter is going to station retrograde in the sign of Gemini. So it will be retrograde in your 4th house, and also Pisces. Jupiter is your ruling planet. So whenever it changes signs, whenever it changes houses, and even when it goes direct and retrograde, you're going to feel this. Well, more so if you're a Pisces rising, but even if you're a Sagittarius rising and Pisces sun or Pisces moon, then Jupiter would still be your ruling planet. I digress. Jupiter will be retrograde in your 4th house for about 5 months until early February in 2025. The 4th house rules over family, property and real estate, your ancestry and lineage, as well as your emotional health and well-being, or just your emotions. So with Jupiter retrograde here, this can indicate that you're working hard. So Jupiter retrograde is like, let's put in effort, and Jupiter expands what it touches. So it's like a lot of effort into working on your relationship with a family member. Maybe these are your parents, children, grandparents, or someone that you live with, even if this is your significant other. The retrograde here can indicate a period of long distance taking place, or maybe even going no contact for a few months, or you and a family member, or you and your significant other are just like on and off, not on and off as in the relationship, but one of you may have to like travel a lot during this period of time, or they're just away at work a lot. And so, there's a little bit of like distance between you in that way. On a different note, you can be doing some real deep research into your family lineage, your heritage, and so on and so forth. And Jupiter here is knowledge and wisdom. So this can indicate that you're uncovering something, uncovering important knowledge, okay? Super exciting for Pisces. My auntie is a Pisces, and she's not really into astrology, but she's done like an amazing family tree and like a huge deep dive into our ancestry and lineage, and it's really exciting. I should really be picking her brains more about it. Again, I digress. So with Jupiter retrograde here in the 4th house, you may be preparing your home for sale, getting legal documents ready, engaging the services of a real estate agent or a realtor if you're in the States, and others of you may just be seeking to relocate, and maybe this is interstate, maybe this is abroad. On a different note, this can indicate that you're wanting to expand your property. Okay, so maybe you're wanting to, increase the pad size, add a level, add a bedroom, make it bigger, because Jupiter's about making things bigger, and the retrograde is like putting that groundwork in place to make that a possibility. For others of you, you could be collating certain family documents or important paperwork that's going to support you relocating interstate, relocating abroad, maybe getting permanent residency or applying for a foreign passport. Okay, so moving along, just on the emotional front, right? Jupiter retrograde in the 4th house can indicate that you're really healing your inner child, going through your childhood and your upbringing and, you know, deep-seated emotional things for you with a fine-tooth comb to really try and, I suppose, improve your health and well-being. Okay, so actually lastly, guys, I will just say that maybe you will be living abroad or not at your usual place of residence for a few months until early February for one reason or another. On the 13th of October, Mercury in Libra in your 8th house is going to square Pluto in Capricorn in your 11th house, and this will be occurring at 29 degrees. 29 degrees is the anaretic degree in astrology, aka the critical degree, which can indicate some kind of crisis occurring. Maybe it's just an existential crisis or a bit of inner conflict or inner turmoil coming up. The 11th house rules over your friends and your wider network, as well as older siblings. And then, you know, the 8th house is about mutual resources, secrets, feelings of betrayal, you know, something here needing to be healed. So you could be feeling conflicted over a friendship or your relationship with an older sibling, or maybe a past hurt or perceived betrayal is coming to the forefront, or actual, not just, you know, perceived. It could be that you feel pushed and pulled in two different directions related to your long-term goals versus your mutual resources, and perhaps trying to come to an agreement with another person, maybe even your significant other, about, you know, where are we headed, what do we want in terms of our long-term goals, and even, you know, passive and residual forms of income. Or perhaps some of you are feeling conflicted about whether or not you can trust a certain friend, or, you know, just divulge private information to someone in your friendship or your wider network. Not just like a random, obviously, someone who's, you know, in your friend group, and you're just trying to figure out whether you can trust them or perhaps even trust them again. On the 13th/14th of October, there's going to be a T-square taking place between Mars in Cancer in your 5th house, the Sun in Libra in your 8th house, and Chiron in Aries in your 2nd house. Now, this will all be occurring at 21 degrees, but we're also going to have Jupiter in Gemini trining the Sun in Libra in your 8th house. So that's a trine between the 4th house and the 8th house. So, you know, in my book, a trine between the Sun and Jupiter will trump whatever's happening in the T-square, especially because Jupiter's making contact to the T-square. So ultimately, there's a opportunity here for growth and expansion and great healing to take place, especially with respect to, you know, your family matters and property and living circumstances as well. All right, so Jupiter in the 4th house could also just be emotionally, like how I feel about this, how am I going to cope with this situation? It does appear that there is some kind of conflict or crisis that's taking place between the 5th, the 8th, and the 2nd house. So 2 of these are money houses. The 5th house here relates to creative hobbies, passions, but then also children, love, and romance. So maybe you're at loggerheads with your significant other about finances and resources. Maybe you're feeling pulled in different directions over what to do with your business, whether you should start your own business, expand it, or just, you know, pull the pin on it. There could be some kind of important consideration that needs to be made with respect to your child or your children. But again, there is this opportunity for progress, so you can improve the relationship with your family members. Perhaps you can receive support or assistance when it comes to extending your property, or just like the relocation process, or perhaps just property matters in general. For example, maybe someone helping you to move out. On a different note, this can indicate a positive outcome related to property inheritance matters, or just inheriting something from your family. huge healing can absolutely be taking place on a deep and inner level for you, and a point of tension with respect to either your significant other, your children, or even just like your concept or your approach to your dating life. All of this is undergoing some kind of deprogramming or hard rewiring, where you're realizing, okay, where do I have blockages? What do I need to release? What's baggage that I've been carrying along with me that I no longer need? Maybe it's just, I don't need family approval. It doesn't matter what my late grandmother would have thought, this is what I want to do. It's just really seeing through any illusions or delusions and just trusting your own intuition. And there is someone in your corner. If you feel alone, if you feel that there's no support, the trine to Jupiter in Gemini tells me that there's someone here who can help you, even if it's just like a friendly word of advice, but you may have to seek it out, or, you may just sort of have your eyes, the wool over your eyes, and you just need to just think outside the box a little bit with this one. On the 17th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries, and this full moon is going to be taking place in your second house. Okay, so the second house is related to our finances and resources, as well as our personal values, and it's also related to things like food, teeth, and cooking, farming, and whatnot. So a full moon here, this full moon is conjunct Chiron at 21 degrees. It's square Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees, and it is sextile Jupiter in Gemini at 21 degrees. So for some of you, this can indicate that you are, because 24 degrees is the Pisces degree, this can be about charity, donation, and letting go. So some of you may be giving away certain prized possessions, valuables, heirlooms. Others of you, whether you're giving that away as charity or a friend or a gift, maybe you're bequeathing this to another person. Others of you may be cutting something out of your diet or largely reducing it. Even if this is only temporary, maybe this will be until March next year, when we have a Mercury retrograde in Aries, a Venus retrograde in Aries, and an eclipse in Aries. So again, maybe you're cutting something out. Maybe this is or reducing. So alcohol, sugar, smoking, maybe you're finding out you have a certain allergy or intolerance. So for example, cutting out gluten. Maybe you're going to go vegetarian for a little while or vegan for a little while. And on a different note, because the second house is related to finances and resources, this can indicate that maybe you're giving some of what you have and helping someone out. So maybe you're, let's say, donating some of your finances or material possessions of yours to help someone else. Because the second house is related, is related to wardrobe, as well as like hair, makeup, and whatnot. You may just want to go au naturel for a little bit, or just keep it really simple and humble with this full moon occurring at 24 degrees in the second house. Lastly, 24 degrees is really, because it's Pisces, it's very spiritual in nature, and it's very much related to energy work. And the second house rules over the throat chakra, the thyroid, the voice box, the vocal cords, the neck, and so on and so forth. So you may find that there's something here that you are letting go of when it comes to perhaps fears of speaking your truth, speaking up. Maybe you love singing and you haven't sung for many years because, I don't know, someone told you you weren't a good singer at some point, or there's some kind of like deep truth that is being spoken. And I didn't even have notes on this, so this is just coming up as a download, but still astrologically fueled. Perhaps this is related to just really having to be honest with someone about something, and it could be very painful to discuss, especially because of the conjunction to Chiron and then the square to Pluto in Capricorn, which is in your 11th house. So maybe this is speaking to an older sibling, and this is like something that's difficult for you to say or to get out, or perhaps this is, speaking to a friend about something and you're just, confiding in them. But it'll be a really beautiful healing experience because of the sextile to Jupiter in Gemini. I repeat, this is on the 17th of October, plus or minus a couple of weeks. Lastly, Pisces, on the 17th/18th of October, depending where you live in the world, Venus is going to enter the sign of Sagittarius. So it'll be transiting your 10th house for about 3 weeks. And wherever Venus goes, this is where we can be spending money or investing, money, time, and resources into that area. We can experience harmony, peace, or some kind of blessing. There can be an improvement to relationships that are governed by that house, and so on and so forth. So the 10th house is related to our public life, our public status and profile, and career and public image. So Venus through the 10th house can indicate that work that you're putting out into the world is favorably looked upon. You may receive praise, positive feedback from your boss, or from maybe an authority figure, or even like a parent or a grandparent or someone that you really respect. This is a great time to launch a business, to put yourself out there. And, if you have a social media account as well, this is a time where whatever creative thing you're releasing out into the world can receive, it'll be very visible, first of all, and you can anticipate some positive feedback back from that. And you could also achieve a win-win outcome when it comes to a situation with your boss, human resources, an authority figure, or some kind of important workplace decision. And some of you may actually be announcing a romantic relationship publicly, or maybe you're, engaging in a romantic relationship with someone who's your superior at work. That's another way that could play out. So Pisces, that's all I have for you for October 2024. If you enjoyed the horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for those of you who joined me for the live stream. I'm really excited to see you guys again in my November horoscopes. And as I mentioned in the introduction, I'll keep you posted about the progress of my 2025 yearly horoscopes. Have an amazing month, everyone, and I'll see you guys